Yeah, tell us about Erwin.
So when I was taking the AT, these guys, this like little German Shepherd might have been following like hikers, like I guess from Fontana Dam, North Carolina. He followed some from my friends. They got to Newfoundland Gap. They tried to get him in a car. He bolted, went southbound. My other buddy camped with him, took him northbound. He bolted, some other guy, and he wound up in Erwin, Tennessee. And I got to Erwin. So I go to the motel. All my friends are sitting inside. I'm out front. And I'm playing with this dog. And the hotel owner comes out and he goes, that dog followed some hikers into town. That dog don't leave in the morning. I'm taking it to the pound.
Whoa. Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek. I am your co-host, Zach Patrick Davis. Sitting to my right is...
I am Juliana Chauncey, a.k.a. Chaunce.
I can't think of the last time we haven't had a title sponsor. We feel so free and unencumbered.
What should we say now that we're not tied down by the man?
I don't even like backpacking.
I hate it.
I'm much more of a cricket player.
I faked all my hikes. I was on the couch the whole time.
AI has gotten good.
Yeah, I was actually the first to use AI, which is why no one suspected it.
Yeah. No, I remember you saying that at the time. You're like,
hey,
people don't even know what AI is, but I'm using it.
Yeah. Hey, while I'm gone for 6 months, can you keep pouring water into this machine for me?
You kept calling yourself Chauncey GPT.
Yeah.
I remember that very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
I am Chauncey GPT.
A few reminders before we get to today's episode. First is, if you want to support us, you can do so. Patreon.com/backpackerradio. It's the place you go to get all of our episodes advertisement free. Speaking of no advertisers.
Yes, and it's where you go to help us keep the lights on after 8 years, of doing this, 312 whole episodes. It is because of our lovely Patreons that we have the means to do some of the fun things we do, like do a road trip in Austin to do a meetup or go to trail days or PCT days. So the more of you we got there, the more we can do fun things and bring BPR to your faces.
Get in on the fun for as little as $5 per month. In this economy, that's nothing.
No, it's not.
But also, we want to make sure that we have a free option for you guys, and that will always be available. So,
yes.
However you get the podcast is good with us. We just happen to like our Patreon supporters even more.
Yeah, but we're happy you're here either way.
Yeah, this is true. Next is, we're talking about trail days on this episode, but the next trail days is right around the corner. That's PCT trail days. We will be there for a slightly abbreviated time. This one is a little bit different than AT Trail Days. AT Trail Days tends to draw in a lot of the surrounding area, whether it's the hiking community or not. PCT Trail Days is awesome because it's just hikers. Mm-hmm. It's people that love long distance backpacking, whether they're through hiking this year, former through hikers, or people who are just genuinely very interested in the world of through hiking. That's what PCT Trail Days is.
I feel like the AT kind of feels like all the people in school being in school, and then the PCT Trail Days kind of feels like the people that come back for the reunion.
Sure.
So there's less people you don't know and all the people that you do know.
Definitely. That being said, we still haven't finalized what fun events we're going to be doing for this one. I'll say what Jess has been toying with. I think moving forward with another food competition is like a duh. We have to do it.
Can it be wedding cake?
Sounds expensive.
This is my bachelorette.
Sounds expensive.
No, it could be grocery store cake.
That's an idea.
It's my hiking batch. You're supposed to be planning this.
That's an idea.
That's a good idea.
It's a good idea. Yeah, we'll put that into consideration for sure.
1 whole cake per participant.
Yeah. They have to eat the entire thing.
Yeah.
No hands.
They could use hands, or we could tie their hands behind their back. They have to just use their mouth.
Yeah, just because maybe I've got like a phobia, but after the peanut butter thing.
Yeah, let's make them just use their mouth. I don't like nasty
hands.
Hands behind back, just mouth, and we could put a candle on each cake and I'll blow it out before they start.
Okay. That is a good idea. The one that she was...
Oh, wait, that's more birthday, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't blow out a wedding cake.
Unless you're planning on getting divorced. That's a very common ritual if ever like a pre-divorce wedding.
Really?
No.
I was going to say, how do people know?
Yeah. Some people probably know, but yeah, I don't think.
Okay, well, I won't blow a candle out, but...
Unless you get married on your birthday, then I guess
cake.
That's appropriate. But she was thinking about a mashed potato eating competition, kind of on brand with hiker foods. But I
thought of mashed potatoes. No, I think I thought of mashed potatoes.
I'll let you guys duke it out.
I'm just checking the group chat.
I'm not claiming to be the originator of this one either way, so I don't care.
Okay, well, I think we should do a wedding cake because I'm getting married the next weekend and I want to have everything about me.
Yeah. I assure you by the time this is out, we'll have a much better idea of what we're actually doing. But as of the recording of this one, we're still very much up in the air. But let it be known, people are going to be getting calories one way or the other.
Yeah. The people want to eat. We got to let them eat.
They do.
Okay. Well, you have to think of some other themed games that we could play because you're planning my whole bachelorette.
So this is all going to be bachelorette themed events?
No, hiking obviously, but like with a twist.
Yeah.
Like food eating, that's classic trail days.
Yeah.
With a twist.
Yep. I'm still thinking we have to keep the watermelon smashing retired for aforementioned reasons.
Oh, I thought you were saying we had to keep it. I was like, no,
it's done.
It's over.
We're raising the banner there. That's that jersey number is no longer available.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah. Also, probably a long shot, and maybe by the time this comes out, I found a solution for it. But I'm very interested in finding someone in the Cascade Locks or even Portland region who'd be interested in holding our tent just year round, and I can come snag it when it's PCT. It's more expensive to ship back and forth than it is to just buy a new one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe the brands that do like thousands of shipping units per year are better suited for this, but it just makes for a logistical nightmare. So yeah, if there's someone in the area that would be interested in housing our tent, funny enough, the sheriff of Abingdon, Virginia is the person who has the Trex tent for AT trail days. So looking for a similar setup for PCT trail days. We'll get some money your way, but literally I just need a tent like in a shed or a storage unit for every time other than PCT trail days.
Maybe you can store it in the basement of that sweaty bar. What was that bar?
Not Thunder Island. You're talking about the one.
No,
the sweaty bar.
One. The sweaty bar.
The one with the karaoke.
Yeah.
That turned into
the Sweat Fest.
Also, there's like an arcade there. Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
They seem like they'd do it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you live nearby and or know someone who does and would be interested in a few bucks just to have something stored in your shed, please hit me up. You can hit me up at podcast@thetrek.co. Last but not least, if you're taking on a long-distance trek this year, again, still short trails, southbound, all the things, it's not too late in the season to apply to be a trek blogger. The link is available in the show notes. And one standout trek blogger is going to get flown out to Denver to be a guest on Backpacker Radio.
That's me exciting.
We already have a lot of really good candidates for that. I was never worried that wouldn't be the case, but I'm now worried that like there's going to be so many people that aren't going to get selected for that. So I already have the FOMO feeling, but whoever we bring on, I know is going to be awesome.
Let's just fly them all out. Put them on the card.
Yeah, sure.
Reminder for Patreon.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to today's interview with Whitney La Ruffa, a.k.a. Allgood.
It's like, I got earbuds. So.
Yeah. All right, we're good. We're joined by today's guest, Whitney La Ruffa, a.k.a. Allgood, who's hiked thousands of miles with his canine companions over the years. Whitney and his dog, Erwin, hiked on the Appalachian Trail and worked on the AT in the 90s as ridge runners after their thru-hike, where they provided education and support to a variety of trail users. Whitney has hiked many long trails in the U.S., but is most proud of his 2014 pioneering first thru-hike of the Chinook Trail, a 293-mile route through the Columbia River Gorge in Washington and Oregon. He's also served as the president of Alda-West. Allgood, so good to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Did we get anything wrong there?
No, but I'd like to know where that bio's from because that's an old bio.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was adapted from your website. According to the
from my own website. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Are you most proud of something else now?
I mean, the Chinook Trail holds a special place in my heart. It's like when you're the first person to do something like that in the Blue Mountains Trail, like being the first time you ground truth something's pretty awesome.
Johnson and I have been the first for many of trails.
Oh,
Yeah.
so many.
I think I was the first for the AT.
I'm a pioneer of many things.
Yeah, I always joke it's the real FKT.
Yeah, sure. You established the FKT.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Zach FKT'd the AT in 2011.
There you
That's
go.
right. Yeah.
There you
if you're
go.
not aware.
So you hiked the AT in 96?
1996, 29th anniversary.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What got you into thru hiking in the first place?
Boy Scouts. I was a active Boy Scout growing up. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was probably 11 years old the first time I hiked on the Appalachian Trail in New Hampshire, and then learned I went from Georgia to Maine. And
You're from New Hampshire?
Yeah, I grew up in New Hampshire.
Where, New Hampshire?
Amherst, southern New Hampshire.
Okay.
And then really just wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. Like the age of 14, I was like, "Can I go hike the Appalachian Trail?" My parents were like, "No, dude, you're like 14." So we made a deal that if I finish high school early and could pay for it, I could go hike the Appalachian Trail. So that's how I pulled off hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Hell yeah.
I'm still just very confused by you because I thought this whole time you were like 5 years older than me, but you hiked the AT when I was 4.
Well,
So this is just like, I'm like hearing this and I'm like, my whole perception of you is wrong.
thru-hiking is the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
true.
I mean, you just go to Tent City once a year and
Yeah.
you gain like 5 years back.
Yeah.
Do you
feel
dye
like you're
your
18
hair?
again. I do not dye my hair.
It's just naturally still brown.
It's still naturally brown.
Wow.
Yeah.
If anything, you'd think the sun would bleach it more. But
Yeah, I get like red highlights in the summer and,
Okay.
and I have a little bit of gray in my beard, but I don't know, just aging, I guess, remarkably well.
Yeah.
How's your hairline? Jesus.
I don't think we're worried about me going bald any day soon.
Yeah. Are you
Wow.
Greek? How do you have so much hair?
I am Italian and Irish and Scottish.
Okay.
So those are kind of hairy people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Italians especially.
Yeah.
My grandmother was Sicilian. So,
All right.
yeah, that might be part of
that's
it
basically
too.
Greek. Same thing.
Yeah, basically. Well, they're
Yeah.
like everything.
Deep Mediterranean.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
I don't know. My Ancestry.com is just like, just take the Mediterranean and just do a highlighter around it. And it's
Sure.
like everybody, yeah, got a piece of Sicily.
Do you
good
pluck
listening.
grays?
No.
I'm like kind of mad at you. I pluck grays.
Well,
They're white, but
they're white.
They look
but the
like
gray
dental
ones do go
floss.
crazy. Like the rest is really curly, but the gray ones go like.
They do have a mind of their
they,
own.
Yeah,
they're
they
like
have a mind of their own.
wiry.
Yeah.
Like, why are
Yeah.
you so
Yeah.
in my face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have any grays until I had kids, so maybe that's part of the secret.
I don't have kids. I think that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
gray.
also a secret to the
My
fountain of youth.
father's always like, if it wasn't for you, I'd have a full head of hair.
Well, I
dad's
heard you
bald.
passed your
My
youth
dad's
to your
bald.
kids.
Yeah.
my grandfather, on my mother's side was bald.
No
my
shit.
dad's father was
Isn't
bald.
that the saying? It's your mother's father
Yeah.
where you get your hair?
Yeah. I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe it's hiking. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Maybe it's like clean living and hiking. Not really that clean, but cleaner living and hiking.
Yeah, and no
Yeah.
kids.
No kids.
Yeah,
By
because
choice.
I've always heard you pass your youth to your kids, but like you have not passed your youth. You're
Maybe.
still holding on to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit of a Peter Pan.
I'm gonna be bitter as fuck when I pass.
Yeah, my youth is gone.
Like-
Oh, we
Not-
can swear on this podcast?
Yeah,
Even
oh,
better.
yeah.
Fuck shit, ass, cunt, balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just very lucky. When I hiked the CDT, I was 38. I turned 39. And I was hiking with a group of guys who were like in their late 20s. And they all thought I was their age. And I'm like one day I was like, I remember I was in Wyoming and Soju. I got a box of food for my wife. And I was like, hey, Soju, like, you want some stuff? I was like, my wife sent it to me. He's like, you have a wife? I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, you don't. I'm like, dude, I totally have a wife. He's like, no. He's like, you're too young. I'm like, dude, I'm almost 40. He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, man, totally. So,
That's funny as
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. Just kind of youthful, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, I like to have fun.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
here.
So instead of asking what the AT was like in '96, I want to know what the biggest, because you're still the most involved with the trail community. Like,
Yeah.
you're the most plugged in person that I know probably in the community.
Probably, yeah.
How has the world of thru hiking changed from '96 to 25?
I mean, it's just completely different, but it's not a bad thing. Like, I think what happens is a lot of old people lament about like, oh, technology's ruining the hiking or ultralight gear. Like, there's a whole group of guys from the 90s who like complain about ultralight gear. And I'm like, dude, you're in your 60s now. Like, don't you want to have a lightweight backpack and be able to still hike? It's like, one, I mean, I think it's nice that there's more resources and knowledge what thru hiking was. And like 96 on the AT, still didn't really know what thru hiking was in a lot of ways in the towns. And Bill Bryson hiked the year I hiked and then rode a walk in the woods. So it was after the year I thru hiked.
Did you cross paths with him at all?
I did, yeah, down in
Really?
Georgia. Yep, yep.
Was
Ooh,
it
tell
like a
us
big
about-
deal on trail that he was out there, or like you just
No,
recognized
I had
him?
no idea who he was. I was
Okay.
like, oh, that's some guy, Bill Bryson, who's sitting there smoking a cigarette. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, he's like an English dude, or he's an American dude
He's
that
an American
lived
that
in
lived in
England
England
for
for
a
a
while.
long time, right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
his writing was all around like England and
Right.
not
Yeah.
U.S. centric
Let's,
until
dude, I was
Walk
an
in the Woods.
18-year-old kid who liked to smoke pot and listen to Grateful Dead. I had no idea who Bill Bryson was. Come on.
Did you see him in passing, or did you
Yeah, I
spend
saw him
quality
like
time?
he was like at his shelter, and I saw him in passing. My buddy has a
Ah.
picture of him still to like the day.
No
He's like,
shit.
remember when we saw Bill Bryson? I'm like, no, but you do.
Did you have any interaction?
No, I think I just said hi with him, and that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
Was
real
Katz
brief.
with him at the time?
No, not that I remember.
Is cats real?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
Imagine
he's
he was
real?
just tripping the whole trail.
I was
Just do
18,
that.
and like I got on trail with the agreement, like if you're gonna go hike, you have to get to college on August 23rd. So it wasn't like I was hanging out a
shit.
lot in towns
Sure.
or
You were busting your ass.
I was with like the young group of college people, and we were pulling. Once we were out of like, I don't know, the Smokies, we figured out we could pull 20s, and we just all started pulling 20, 25, 26-mile days.
Damn. And that must have been with a heavy ass pack.
Like
too.
a 50-pound pack.
That's crazy.
Like there's a picture of me on the Appalachian Trail in 96 with, I found a dog on the AT. So I have this dog with a big backpack on, and me with this Dana Design Terraplane. It's like it's like 6,500 cubic inch pack. I have a pad strapped to the outside, 2 exterior pockets, and we're like about to pet a pony at Grayson Highlands, and it's like the backpack's bigger than the pony. So yeah, I mean, we had heavy packs, but it's just like, I mean, it's nice. There's more resources. That's really changed. People know what thru hikers are, so I think that's made the experience nicer. Like, I don't really like the term hiker trash, because the first time I was called hiker trash was in Elk City, Elk Grove, down in North Carolina.
Yeah, Elk Grove sounds the most
Yeah,
right.
or Elk Park or Elk Grove.
I think Elk Park, actually.
Elk Park.
Yeah.
And like in 96 in Elk Park, like, because that was condemnation. That was the last part of trail they ever used condemnation on to secure the land.
Condemnation?
Yeah, where you condemn somebody's land by the federal government.
Oh, condemnation. I
Yes.
thought you were saying condom space.
Condemnation. Yeah, it was condemnation.
It was condemnation
For
in
that
the
sausage
90s.
fest in the 90s on trail.
Yeah, condemning.
So
Got
yes,
it.
so they were like, there was like warnings like, be careful, people hang fish hooks on fishing line at eye level along the trail because they hated hikers. So like we went into town to get dinner. We were hiking back to go to the shelter. There was a shelter like a mile from the road, not smart. And some pickup truck came running by us and called us hiker trash and put a beer bottle out the window at us.
Whoa.
So I'm like, that's not the most endearing term to me, honestly. But so that was different. When you had to carry guidebooks and strip maps and data books, you never really knew where you were to some degree.
That's crazy that people were not receptive to hikers back then, because now the AT is like almost overly receptive
Right.
to hikers.
Well,
It's-
I've
right.
seen posts in the past few years where someone's hung fishing line across the trail
No
with
shit.
hooks on it. Yeah,
Huh.
I've seen that.
Wow.
And I've seen like dog treats have been left on the trail with like nails
that
in
I
them.
do. We
Yeah.
reported
Like
on that.
people are
yeah.
still kind of dicks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's
but
always bad apples.
I think
but-
a lot of people figured out along trails that there's this group of people that come through that can spend money in my small town. It's a viable business
Yeah.
for them.
Right.
So that's changed. I mean, the gear's gotten better. I think people have better knowledge going into it. It's not quite the most unprepared. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like, I mean, it was really hard to know how to hike the AT in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like you had to like there was the ATC magazine. That's how I met my hiking partners. Was like they had single ads for hikers. It seemed like hikers seeking hikers to start the Appalachian Trail, and that's how I got with like a group of people to start with. They used to mail you. Back in like 94, they sent me this mailing list. It was like past thru hikers who were willing to exchange information with you. And it was like pen pals. I had like thru hiker alumni pen pals. And it was like, you know, people would hike in like 92, 93, 94, 95. It was like some of those people I see at trail days still. And I'm like, oh yeah, we like
That's
exchange
cool.
letters and stuff.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So the gear's gotten better. The communities have gotten better. Navigating has gotten way easier with technology.
Plug, you work for FarOut.
I do work for FarOut. But I mean, even thinking back to like between 96 and 2016 when I hiked the CDT for my 20th anniversary, it was like, wow, having a GPS and knowing right where I was made a huge difference. Now on
Yeah.
the CDT, you can still get lost, but
Yeah.
I feel like you're very happy and like friendly and nice about things, but do you have any strong stances that like you revert to being like a curmudgeon about it, where it's like someone
yeah.
today will complain about their pack weight and you're like, you don't even know about pack weight, you know, like
back
what's
in
your
my day.
yeah, what's your back in my day hill to die on?
Ooh. I think it's like hikers complaining about needing a shuttle or using like social media. Like, can a trail angel come pick me up on trail? It's like, dude, go to the road, shove your thumb in the air and get picked up. Like when I hiked the CDT, we were trying to leave Lander, and the young guys I was with, it was like, you know, Lander's a hard town to hitch out of. We've been waiting like 30 minutes, like, oh, this is ridiculous. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm like, I have hitchhiked for like 5 hours before I get a ride. Like, look at me. I'm a scary looking guy a lot of times. I think that, and just like, I think social media for good and bad.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the curmudgeon in me.
Yeah.
It's like, are you going out to hike because you want to be like famous on Instagram, or do you really love hiking?
Yeah.
You know, and I've always said, like, when you meet a hiker who's like the CDT and they tell you they hate the Great Divide Basin, I'm like, well, you actually don't like hiking. Because the Great Divide Basin's an incredible place to get to hike across. You can see for days. There's wild horses. You're in like lush grasses. It looks like when you think of like wagons going, you cross 3 historic wagon trails, and it's like, you know, you think about like settling of the West and like what those people went through in the land grab. It's like, that's what it probably looked like when they're going for like the land grab, you know?
Yeah.
Like far and away, like when you do the shotgun start to go claim
Yeah.
your acreage. So
I haven't hiked the CDT, but I don't foresee myself liking the basin. Maybe I'd feel different like, coming out of Colorado. Maybe it's nice to get some flat terrain, but
dude, when you leave Colorado, you're like, oh, thank God we're back to the desert. I'm not at like 14,000 feet. Sure. It's going to be easy miles. You can pull a 40.
Yeah, you're not constantly.
I'm like really receptive to the idea of section hiking the CDT just because I've already done miles on the Colorado Trail. And when me and Elise were going up this past July to hike the Teton Crest Trail and her car broke down, she was just like she was in a spiral. And she was like, well, if we can't get up there, we could always just hike the basin while the car's getting fixed. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this fucking rocks. I could do like a part that people bitch about with a friend and get that section done. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like really like hyping this up. I'm like, we should do this. We should do it. And she's like sitting there like, I never expected you to say yes to that. Like, I actually don't really mean that. I really don't want to do this. Right. And I'm like, no, it'll be so fun. And she's like, I don't want to do it.
Wow.
Well, if we don't have any other options, I was gung-ho on it. I was like, yes, let me get this out of the way with a friend. And like, we could make a whole bit out of it because it's funny because we're stuck.
Right. Stuck in Rollins.
The basin does seem to be very polarizing for people. It seems like people either love it or hate it. It doesn't seem like
it's also like on the CDT, like there's a section that goes like north from Leadore. From Lyman to Leadore, and it's like you're on the divide on the Idaho-Montana border, and I'll give it, it's a roller coaster. You're up and down, but you're actually on the divide, walking the state line, and it's like, dude, you've walked almost 2,000 miles by the time you get there, and people are complaining about the up and down. I'm like, this is like the best shape you're gonna be in on the trail.
Yeah.
And it's like you're actually on the divide. Like, how cool is this? Like, you're on the actual like geologic divide. Like, half the time you're in Idaho, half you're in Montana. You can see where you're going all day. It's pretty easy to navigate. And I just enjoy hiking. Like, I don't care if it's a through hike or just going for a day hike. It's like, I like to be outside.
Yeah.
So it's like any excuse to be outside is what it really comes down to. So that's probably my curmudgeon-y.
Well, I think like if you've done, speaking as someone who's not done the CDT, but if you've done that many miles leading up to something like the basin, it's like doing the AT and getting to like Boiling Springs, Carlisle, where you're just walking through fucking corn. And it's like, my God, do we need to?
We just unlocked why it is. I was the ridge runner in Boiling Springs in 97 and 98 in the Cumberland Valley. Yes.
I got lost in one of those cornfields.
Yeah, man. Maybe I was just conditioned for the basin. Maybe I didn't even realize it was like, I've been training for this for years.
I would honestly take the dryness of the basin over like the swampy Boiling Springs air.
Like, I just hiked 2 days on the AT into here, and I forgot how humid it is.
Dude, I walked to the post office and sweat my ass off.
And how steep it is. I'm like, good God, haven't you heard of a switchback?
Yeah, I know. And this is May. Like, we are not even peak summer yet. Yeah, it's tough.
That, and I would say the other thing I'm curmudgeon-y about is like the lack of respect about like leave no trace, but not just on trail, but like really in town. Like, that's what bothers me the most is like when I see bad behavior in town. Like, that's what pisses me off the most.
Yeah, like people think.
Is it like a strict LNT violation, like where people are leaving trash, or is it just like bad?
Well, I'm really over like, dude, just pack out your toilet paper. There's way too many of us anymore. It's gross. Just pick up your TP and put it in a Ziploc bag and pack it out to the trash. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're in town, surely they can find a flusher.
Exactly. I mean, I pack out all my toilet paper everywhere I go.
Have you found loose used toilet paper in town?
No, but all over the trail.
Okay, well, you said the thing for me is in town.
Oh,
and then you pivoted to that, and I'm like, who is just surface dumping in town when there's toilets available?
I guarantee you, in Tent City by tomorrow morning, there's a service turn or two in Tent City.
Yeah.
But no, it's more like getting to town and feeling like, you pass through all these small towns and you're on a through hike. And people wander into town and they're like, oh, I'm so special. I'm a through hiker. It's like, dude, you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Like, you're very fortunate that you have the ability in life to not only, one, have the financial resources to be out here, but two, also have the luxury of taking this much time off in your life. And it's like, you got to remember, like, you're in this town for a day. These people live in this town. This is their community. Yeah. And it's like, I just like, I'll call it out. I'm not afraid to call someone out that behavior, but it's just like, if you ask people, like if you go to a restaurant before you just go plug in your phone, if you just ask like, hey, do you mind if I plug in my phone?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Or like, when I was doing the northern New Mexico, I do a lot of routes. So it's like, people never know what you're doing. I'll walk in like a little store and be like, hey, well, I'm going to eat like a bunch of microwave food. Can I pay you like $5 and plug all my stuff in a charge? And they'll always be like, oh, we're not going to take your money for that.
Yeah.
But if you just ask, no one cares. But if you just go in and do it, then they get upset.
Yeah, totally.
But that always confuses me when it's like people think they're special because they're through hiking, especially something like the AT, because it's like, dude, like thousands of people have done this.
Yeah.
Like
we hit a point where it stops being special. Like, it's cool that you do it. It's a big accomplishment. You should be proud of yourself, but you're not fucking special. But thousands of people have done it.
Right, but it is special for them.
Right, it's special to you.
And it's a great experience. So it's like, I would never take that away from you. I'm just saying, like, when you get to town, realize, like, there's been others before you.
But for the people in town is what I'm saying. Like, to the people in town, you're not fucking special. You're one of thousands.
And the thing is, the people in town will remember the bad behavior.
Yeah.
You never remember
100%.
the really respectful one. So it's like, it doesn't take much for one bad experience to turn off a business, which, you know, that's what I worry about. I worry about as Thru-Hiking grows, like, are our welcoming and community is going to be reduced, or are people not going to want us in their businesses and things like that?
So here's a question for you. So this is all under the umbrella of Thru-Hiker entitlement, which is obviously like a growing concern over the years.
Definitely.
Do you think that hikers are getting more entitled, or there's just more hikers and the percentage of entitled hikers is reflecting poorly?
I think that's a big part of it. There's way more users. So we're getting a larger, like, subsect of what our culture really has become. I think social media the last 10, 15 years has made people in general very narcissistic. I think everyone thinks they have a platform or they're special, bless you. I think that's part of it. And I just want to be very clear. I'm not saying all young hikers are entitled. In fact, I find some of the worst entitled hikers I deal with are baby boomers.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What are they entitled about?
I worked my whole life to be retired to do this. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, great. They're just always cranky. It's like, why are you cranky, man? You're retired. I was going to go back to work after this. Like, you're the retired one.
Yeah.
And it's not everybody. I mean, for the most part, when you think about hikers, like, I love all hikers, good and bad. We all have our warts. It's like, you know, now and then I'll be hanging out with a friend. I'm like, oh, that hiker, they're crazy. And he's like, you don't think you're crazy? He's like, we're all crazy. That's what brings us to this thing. It's like, there's something inside every single person who does a thru hike. I think that's like, I don't know if it's something that you're broken, but like something probably happened in your life where you think like, I'm going to be okay if I'm out walking, but I'm not going to be okay if I'm in town.
Yeah. You know who that person was?
I have no idea who that is.
Someone with a mustache just walked
That's all right. There's someone sitting in our house. Nobody knows who
I'm
they
not
are.
wearing
They just
my
all of a sudden in our
glasses.
house.
Yeah.
But I
it was
don't know
even
who
more
that
alarming
was.
that they walked in and then walked out. So Harper, you're gonna have to attack the
Well,
next
Harper
time.
didn't bark, so maybe Harper knows who it is.
Yeah, Harper knows
I
that.
think Harper's instincts are reversed because she's barked at the people that have been.
That we know.
Right.
Yeah.
Excited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, hiker entitlement's tough, but it's like, I don't know what the solution is either.
Do you think, and this is just pure speculation at this point, but do you think the entitled hikers are more likely to be in the group that quits in the first quarter of the trail? Or do you think that if they're so self-confident and entitled that they're more likely to make it further in the trail?
I think they make it further. I think the people who wind up like not finishing a thru hike, half of them, because they're just having way too much fun.
Yeah.
It's like every hike I've done, I've always been in like the front of the pack. For like CDT in 2016, I started April 18th. I always wanted to stay ahead of the herd because I just, you know, I'm not in my 20s. I was in my late 30s. I didn't want to be caught up in town for 4 or 5 days of partying and stuff like that. I wanted to be able to get in and out within a couple of days.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to party. Like,
Right. But I had my crew. Like I had a crew of people I was hiking with. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I had my partners and we would get to town and we would hang out for a night and go drink up some beers. There were 2 Germans I hiked with. You know, it's like we'd have a good time. But, you know, also at the end of the day, it's like they had visas. They had to be out of the States by.
Sure.
You know, I have a wife at home. So it's like I didn't want to drag it out longer than needed. Also with the CDT, you have a short season northbound.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're a better, this is such a toxic statement. I think you're a better drinker if you're good at hiking hungover. Like the person that can't hike hungover and needs to take the second zero because they're too hungover to get out of town.
Right.
I think is not as good of a hiker because they can't power through the suck as well.
I'll tell you what you learn as you get older. It's not to be that hungover when you got to leave town the next morning.
Yeah. No, you definitely, if you're going to drink, you have to be done drinking by like 4 p.m.
Yeah. Or just know when to call it. Like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I find that in life very
I find
nice.
hiking events are way worse than being on trail for drinking.
You find what?
Like coming to like trail days.
Yeah.
Like that's when I really throw down the most. Because I'm not on trail.
Sure.
You get the energy of the hiker.
Yeah.
You're like you're feeding off their energy.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, like I feel like I'm 18 again. And then it's like you wake up in the morning and it's like 8 a.m. and you're like, I gotta go stand in a booth for 8 hours in the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you literally just have to stand in a booth for 8 hours. You don't have to like kill 20 miles uphill in humidity.
Yeah, but I mean, thinking about like my time at Six Moon Designs when I worked there, like work in a booth, I'd rather go hike 20 miles in humidity, I think.
Yeah. It is
It's
running a
exhausting.
marathon mentally.
Yeah. And just standing's worse than walking.
Okay, so if you were to do trail days and get hammered one night, you would rather hike out and do a 20-mile day than run the Six Moons Designs tent.
Ooh, when you put it that way. That's a coin flip.
This is a yes or no question.
I think you would process the hangover faster hiking.
Yeah, I think I'd rather go hiking actually.
swear to
Yeah.
Plus,
I would
wouldn't
take
have
the hiking,
I wouldn't have to
honestly.
deal with people hiking.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. After a couple hours of hiking,
Yeah, after 3 hours, it'd be
you're not
out.
on 100%, but you're doing better for sure.
Yeah, especially if you're drinking a lot of water hiking in the process.
Yeah. It's sucking in your own silence rather than like your customer service space.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's a mental marathon when you're here.
Yeah. Totally
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. When I get back on Sunday, it's just like I'm dead to the world.
Oh, it must be nice to get home on Sunday. What's that like? I get home on Monday evening at like 10 p.m.
Yeah,
Yikes.
good. You're a better trail days
Where do you
patron than we
live?
are.
I live in Portland, Oregon.
What's your address?
Now we're not sharing.
You guys got some weird ass carpet in your airport, I'll tell you that.
Oh, our carpet? It's a legendary carpet.
I hate it.
Have you been to the new airport?
I don't know. We flew into whatever airport
It
we
was
flew
last
into.
year.
Do you remember that? And I was
At
like,
Portland?
Oh no, wait till you
non-stop
fly.
commenting on how much I hated that carpet.
Wait till you fly in now. They just redid the whole terminal with this new wood project. It is stunning.
Is it nice?
Is it still
It
carpeted?
is beautiful. I mean, that turquoise pink 1995 carpet motif, when they took it out, the people of Portland rioted.
So they took it out.
And then they put it back in because
Shut
people were
up.
like, dude, that's our whole identity.
I feel like I'm walking on roller skates in a roller rink trying to make my way to the slushy station.
Yeah, well, that's what they brought back. Brand new carpet. That same pattern.
We've been
They
making that
love
Portland
it.
weird, baby. Yeah. We can't move past the AT without talking about your dog.
Oh yeah, Erwin, he was the best.
Yeah, tell us about Erwin.
So when I was taking the AT, these guys, this like little German Shepherd, might have been following like hikers, like I guess from Fontana Dam, North Carolina. He followed some from my friends. They got to Newfoundland Gap. Bless you. They tried to get him in a car. He bolted, went southbound. My other buddy camped with him, took him northbound. He bolted. Some other guy, and he wound up in Erwin, Tennessee. And I got to Erwin. You know, Erwin's kind of a dark town. Like its history with the whole hanging the elephant.
Oh, someone literally brought us a 4-pack of elephant beers because I told that story on the podcast.
Even darker. All right, so it's been told, so we don't have to
Yeah,
rehash it.
no,
But
but we know the Erwin elephant.
I read the whole history, and I'm like, oh, they can't be proud of that. And I walk into town, and the first thing I see is the hanging elephant antique shop with like a painted image of the elephant hanging. And then it's like, this is Mary the Elephant, da-da. And then it's like, you go to the park, and it's like, here's the train engine and crane we used to hang Mary the Elephant. I'm like,
Whoa.
this town is dark. Now remember,
it
this
didn't
is before,
work
this
the
is
first
before-
time or second.
They first tried to electrocute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had to hang it.
Well, because they had a fucking mob.
Right.
That wanted it to be persecuted, so they brought it to like the jail because they like had the elephant quote unquote under arrest while they waited to like do trial.
I listened to this other podcast called Putting on Airs.
Yeah.
And these two Southern guys talk about fancy stuff, and they had a whole episode all about like Mary the Elephant and all these different
gotta write that
animals
down.
that have been put on trial and killed back in the day for publicity.
Putting
It
on
was not
airs.
just Mary the Elephant; there was a bunch. Putting on Airs. So
Damn. We're so fucked up as
I'm in town. You know, this is before Uncle Johnny's.
Yeah.
Didn't exist. I go to the motel. Bless you. All my friends are sitting inside. I'm out front. And I'm playing with this dog. This dog comes up. I'm playing with this dog. I'm like, oh, this dog's awesome. And the hotel owner comes out and he goes, yeah, some hikers. That dog followed some hikers into town. That dog don't leave in the morning. I'm taking it to the pound.
Whoa.
And I was like, well.
So obviously no collar or anything.
No collar, nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess I'll take this dog out of town with me.
Yeah.
So I went and bought a collar just so we could put it on a lead. And I bought some dog food. And I was like, if this dog makes it to Damascus, I'll get it like some gear and I'll keep the dog.
Yeah.
But if he bolts, he bolts. We got to Damascus. The outfitter in town at the time was Damascus Dave, Mount Rogers outfitter. So he hooked me up with like a free dog pack and some bowls. He's like, if you're going to take a dog with you that you found, I was like, I'll just hook you up. Don't
What
worry.
kind of dog is it?
He was a German Shepherd Chow mix.
Oh yeah, you mentioned
Just
that.
a mutt. But he was great. He was like my loyal companion. He was wild.
How many pounds?
He was like 45.
Ish. Okay, like Harper
45.
size.
Yeah, totally like Harper size. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like really furry. He like you got him wet. There was nothing to him. But then it was like trail magic along the way. I stopped at our friend's farm in Virginia, up in Troutdale, and we went to the local vet and he got his rabies shots and all that. And then I went to a vet in in Duncannon to get his second round of shots and stuff. So he was just a great dog, and he went all the way up to New Hampshire with me. And then I had my dad come pick him up because he couldn't go through Katahdin. So my parents took him for the last 3.5 weeks I was on trail, which is helpful.
What'd you do with him in Shenandoah?
Back then you could hike with a dog in Shenandoah.
Really?
Yeah, so when I hiked the Appalachian Trail, the only place a dog was not allowed was Baxter State Park and the Smoky Mountains.
I would appreciate if instead of saying back then, you just say back in my day.
Back in my day, you could take a dog to Shenandoah. In fact, like the year I hiked the AT, there was quite a few dogs. People hike with dogs, and we got a lot of trail magic. Like one of the ladies was a vet tech, and her like vet had given her all this science diet food, but she had like way too much. So she would like leave it for me. She was a little ahead of me. She would leave it for me like at a place like, hey, there's a bunch of food for you there. Like you could have your dog at the place hostel. You could have your dog at the Delaware Water Gap. I mean, it was total. You got to think when I hiked the AT, there was like 150 of us through hiking.
Yeah.
Could you take dogs through Great Smokies too?
No, not through the Smokies.
Okay, so Shenandoah was just like a little
Shenandoah,
behind.
you could, yeah, at the time, as long as they were
Interesting.
leashed. Yeah, so I had him, and then I went to Virginia Tech. My hiking partner, Kelly, she lived like 40 minutes north of Virginia Tech, so he stayed with her my freshman year. But I would have to like bring him down and watch him when she was traveling. Sophomore year through senior year at college at Virginia Tech, I lived off campus like 2 miles. And I mean, this dog was just like through hiker at heart. I would just open the door and be like, see you, buddy. See you this afternoon. He would just go on adventures. And like 9 times out of 10, I'd walk out of my first class and he'd be sitting out in front of the building I was in waiting for me. I'd just like, all right, let's go. He's like, walk across campus. He'd wait outside. So yeah, I had him for like 13 years.
Wow.
He climbed Mount Hood. He climbed Mount St. Helens.
Do you have any idea how old he was when you got him? I know.
The vet said like based on like the wear on his teeth, he thought he was maybe like 3 years old.
So he lived to be 16.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He's just really healthy. I mean, I think hiking really helped.
Yeah.
And that dog hiked all over the Pacific Northwest with me.
Yeah.
I took him to the Badlands on our way cross country. We went hiking there.
Yeah.
I mean, he camped around Buffalo. He was a really cool dog.
Did you grow up with dogs?
No, I always wanted a dog, but we didn't have him.
Yeah. So like I know you're known, like one of the
Yeah.
things known about Whitney is that he's a dog guy. So
I
like,
am.
this happened because of Erwin.
Yeah. And then, you know, when he passed away, and I did plan on hiking the PCT with him, but I had to work because I didn't have a trust fund. Got out of college. I was pretty
You know
broke.
you hate that.
I know. That's all I,
I
want
don't
for
know
Christmas.
either. It's
That's all I want
like-
for Christmas. I just want like
Is it too much to ask?
a modest trust fund that pays out like, I don't know, 6 figures a year. Is that too much to
Yeah.
ask for?
Yeah, I think
No,
that's
you can
doable.
blow
A
it.
giant one, just a modest one. So yeah, so when he passed away in 2008, I was like devastated. And I was like, I'm not getting another dog for like a year. And I was so depressed that like 3 months after he passed away, my wife was like, go to the Humane Society, find a dog, I'll pay for it. I was like, really? She's like, yeah. So this time I got a puppy. Because like Erwin was great, but like because he was like feral, he was a very difficult dog to own.
Yeah.
Like especially living in a city. He was a very difficult dog to train. German Shepherd Chow is a very crazy mix to have. So my second dog was a lab mix, which is like, if you want an easy dog to train, get a lab.
Yeah, yeah,
mix.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're just the easiest dogs in the world. They want to please you. They're super friendly.
Yeah.
They're pretty rugged. And I had him for 14 years.
Wow.
And then he passed away.
What was his name?
Carluck.
Carlick?
Carluck.
Carluck.
Yeah, he was named after the Carluck River in Alaska, which is where I'm for my bachelor party.
Nice.
Yeah.
How big was that dog?
Oh, he was like 65 pounds when he was young because he was really ripped, but he was
Yeah.
probably like 85 when he passed
Okay,
away.
so when I got my dog Sierra, she's a German Shepherd Malinois mix.
Yeah.
She was 70 for most of the time. We got her weighed recently. She's 80, so kind of the same
Yeah.
trajectory.
But she was so tiny when you first got her. You
Yeah,
remember
she
how
was
small
smaller
she
than
was?
her
It's
little
adorable
white
when they're like
fluff
that.
dog.
Yeah.
So what's the key to maintaining their longevity? Because she's starting to show her age already. Like she's getting very stiff.
I think a diet's really important.
Okay, so
Like-
what are you feeding your dogs?
Carlick ate like some grain-free, like I forget the name of the company. We had to switch brands a couple times. It was like Taste of the Wild at one point, and then we went to something else. It was always grain-free, like just high-end kibble. At times when they would get older, I would do like chicken breast, rice, and sweet potatoes.
Okay.
Working with your vet if they have arthritis, like Rimadyl is really good with labs. So do like Rimadyl and gabapentin.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is like when they're, you know, after they're about a year old, is just keeping them in good shape, like
Yeah.
getting them running, working them up hills, especially like if you can get a dog to go up and down a hill, that's like really good for their hips later in life, because it builds a lot of like muscle mass for their hips and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just like, you know, listening to your dog what it needs. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people take dogs on through hikes and it's just like the dog's just suffering.
Yeah, I've
it's
seen
just
that
like-
quite a bit myself.
It's like, dude, what are you doing? That dog is not doing well.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I always tell people, like, if you're going to take a dog on a through hike, you're in your dog's through hike, not yours.
Right.
Like, you might, yeah. I mean, there's been times where, like, Carluck were like, he would get what I call broken rudder. Where, like, he would just go too hard one day and his tail would do like the down. And I'd just be like, all right, well, I guess someone's got to come take him and go around. We're going to take a day or two off.
Yeah.
I'm glad I haven't been in this position yet, but like knowing myself, like I can easily bite my tongue on a lot of things and just like let someone do their thing, even if it's not something I agree with.
Yeah.
But I think seeing an unhappy dog being forced to do something that's like making it unhappy is where I snap.
It's not fun for anybody.
No.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't make me watch that.
Right.
It's weird. As a parent, I feel more strongly about that than I do when people bring like their kids on trail. Like I have more of a protective instinct over a dog than when I see like kids being dragged against their will.
Really?
I don't want to say kids being dragged against their will because
I've seen that though too.
I have seen that as well. But
Yeah.
I don't want to dabble in that one.
Yeah, we're not going down. We're not going to do that. Let's be like it's real days. Let's
Should we
Yeah.
kid shame?
Yeah, but like dogs are so loyal and like obviously
are.
they don't have a voice. Like
Right.
they'll
Yeah.
do whatever you tell
They're
them.
loyal to a fault.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They're loyal to a fault.
Yeah, like
But you know, it's like funny too. Like you think about like the young dog. Like I can remember with my lab, we would do like a 28, 30 mile day, like out west somewhere. You get to camp, you set up tent. Like, you know, I'd be cooking dinner and he would like, I'd feed him first. I'd be like getting my dinner ready. And all of a sudden he would like go in his pack and pull out a tennis ball and drop it at your feet. Like, can you throw that now?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
dude, you hiked, like you probably did 50 miles, say running back and forth between
Yeah.
me and my hiking partner.
Yeah.
And now you want to play ball and go swimming?
Yeah.
You're just like
Harper's
jump
like
in and go
that.
swimming. I'm like, what is
I
wrong with
know,
you?
I know.
Well, so Harper's like that. Whenever we've hiked, like she's done 75 miles the Colorado Trail. She's done the Foothills Trail. Whenever we hike, like I cap the days at 15 miles. Because I think with you running ahead and running back
Right.
and running ahead, like you're realistically doing about 20. Like,
Right.
That's enough for a dog. And then we'll get to breaks and like I'm huffing and puffing my way in. And she's picking up a stick and wanting me to throw it.
Right.
And I'm telling everyone like, oh, we're doing 15 for the dog. And it's like clearly for me because I'm out of shape and like doing a section of something. And she's just there ready to keep going. And I'm like, I am in awe that you want to do that, but I can't.
Yeah, they're uber athletes. I mean, that's just reality. Like they're uber athletes. When they're young, they're just like uber athletic.
Yeah. I know. We need to get some of those stem cells injected in us.
Exactly.
Do you have a strong opinion about like fresh pet or any of those like fresh go in the refrigerator dog foods versus kibble?
You know, I think, you mean, talk to your vet. Both of my dogs ate kibble their whole lives. I think kibble, one, if you want to prevent having a lot of tartar buildup and stuff, kibble is really good for keeping dogs' teeth clean. I think the key is you need to buy high-end dog food. My first dog ate Purina 1, not the greatest food in the world, and he lived to be like 16.
Yeah.
I mean, I would work with my vet, but it's like I think a lot of vets would tell you, like, man, like good high-end kibble is really good quality food. I think you got to look at the food and be like, is meat the number one ingredient? Like 1, 2, and 3 ingredients meat, and then like whatever else they're using. I think that's really important.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard the exercise thing consistently from everyone that's had dogs that have lived past like the expected age.
Yeah, I mean, even when like Carlick was in his final year at like 14, we would still go for like a 30-minute walk every day, and it was a slow walk, but
Right.
we still walked 30 minutes twice a day.
Yeah.
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 Tell me about ridge running with Erwin.
Oh man, that was wild. That was some crazy. I mean, when I was a ridge runner in '96, when you think about how long ago that was, there was like I think there was 12 of us across the whole AT. And it was 10 days off, 10 days on, 4 days off. It was cool. I mean, I get to hike a lot with my dog. Like he would go like groundhogs and stuff, like woodchucks. Like, dude, what are you doing? But I don't know. I mean, we had a great time, and we really had a strong bond, I think, because of it. I mean, it's not that Pine Grove Furnace State Park to the north end of Peter Mountains. It's not the most scenic section of the AT.
Is that your section? Boiling Springs, Pine Grove?
It was Pine Grove Furnace State Park, Boiling Springs, Dung Canyon, and then Peters Mountain to the north end.
I mean, I think you're putting it politely. That section's boring as fuck.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Hawk Rock's pretty. The
Yeah,
Michelle's a pretty
sure.
forest.
I just remember corn.
Well, I mean, the 18 and a half miles across the valley, I will agree, is not the most scenic section of trail by any means.
Is that the half gallon challenge section?
Yes.
Yes,
I
Pine
remember.
Grove.
That's where I started at the half gallon challenge. So the Ridge
You
Runner.
started it?
No.
You just did a
that's where-
la-di-da statement like that?
No. I did not start it. My section started at the half gallon challenge. So in '97, the Ridge Runner south of me went from like Maryland Rocks to Pine Grove Furnace State Park, and his trail name was Half Gallon Kenny because he would sit there and wait till people couldn't finish their half gallon. He's like, "Can I have that?"
Just vulturing people's ice
Totally,
cream.
yeah. He was awesome.
How often would you see people?
Well, I mean, during the hiker bubble, you saw a lot of people every day. And then after about July 4th, you didn't see a lot of people July and August in that section.
But what's a lot of people in the 90s compared to present day?
Oh, I might see on the weekend, I might have saw like 50 people on a high day total in like a section.
So that's obviously not just through hikers.
No, it's most, I mean, once the through hikers are gone, it's all weekenders or section hikers or back in the 90s there was a lot of, you know, for lack of better words, like hoods in the woods type programs where they were taking, you know, inner city youth and putting these paramilitary hiking things and sending them on trail and stuff.
Is that what they called it, or is that just like...
No, that's like that's the non-PC term for what it was. I think they called it wilderness therapy, but those kids were not getting therapy out of that. They were like, in my opinion, being tortured.
I've heard that quite a bit.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's a common theme with wilderness therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I first learned about these programs, it seemed like a very altruistic, like, oh, this is a good thing.
Yeah, we did a whole interview on it.
Yeah.
And we were like, that sounds great.
Right.
Yeah, and now it sounds different.
Sounds not as great.
Yeah, not as great. Exactly.
Yeah. So this might be just tough to track down information about you, but is the gap between trails the AT in 96 and the JMT in 2011?
I mean, for a long trail, yeah. I mean, I did a lot of sections on the PCT between those.
Okay.
I sectioned on the Allegheny Trail when I was in college, but it wasn't really completed, so there was a lot of road walking and stuff then. But yeah, I moved to Oregon, and I did some mountaineering, and I did a lot of backpacking, but it was like, I'm going to go backpack in the, you know, Goat Rocks Wilderness. I'm going to go do the Three Sisters Loop in Jefferson and stuff like that.
So you're still active on trail. You're just not like explicitly through
I mean,
hiking.
it's just like, you know, I mean, I got married, we bought a house, I had a career. So it's like, I wasn't actively through hiking. I felt very disconnected from the community because it was before social media. I moved out west. I didn't know anybody in town. So I just did a lot of backpacking, sections of the PCT, things like that. Then in 2009, my good friend's mom passed away, and he was going to hike the PCT. So he came out to Oregon, parked his car, and I agreed to do all of his resupply. So that year, him and I hiked from, where did we hike from? Cascade Locks to White Pass, which is a good section.
Yeah.
And that kind of like, that was 2009, that kind of got the itch going again, like really bad. Like, oh, I really missed like the continual one path, not a loop, like, you know, 10 days out kind of thing. And then that fall, he was like, hey, like my wife was like, dude, you gotta get this guy out of our house. And he's like, oh, the ALDHA-West gatherings in you know, Mount Hood, you gotta go with me. I'm like, dude, I don't want to go to a hiking gathering. Like, I'm not gonna know anybody. It's been years since I've been part of that. And he's like, oh, come on. And I kid you not, I walked in, and right when I walked in, this guy and girl were like, hey, I know you. You're the ridge runner in Pennsylvania and had a dog. And I was like, oh my God, I totally remembered him. So it was like right back in.
Yeah.
So yeah, then it was like 2010 did another section of the PCT, and then 2011 did the JMT, and then after that it was just like the bug was so bad again that I was just like, I gotta hike every year. So for a long time, I used to give this talk called like hikes for the working stiff, through hikes for the working stiff. So I was doing all this shorter stuff like JMT, Wonderland Trail, you know, Tahoe Rim Trail. That's kind of why I did the Chinook Trail. I was like, oh, I need something a little more challenging. I want to do some navigation. I learned about the Chinook Trail. No one ever hiked it, so I did the whole map. Like I mapped it all out. Me and Snorkel and our other friend Tomato were the first 3 people to hike it.
Tell us more about the Chinook Trail.
It's a 353-mile horseshoe loop through the Columbia River Gorge. So it starts up in Washington at Molten Falls State Park, and it goes east all the way to Mary Hill. So that's about 175 miles. You go east, so you go from like the rainforest over the Crest Divide into the high desert. You cross the Columbia River, and then you head back west all the way to Angel's Rest. So, and it's like, you know, it's got some road walks, a buffet of services. There's trail in the western part. The eastern part's all road walking or like off-trail navigation. So that was really cool. I did that, and then I was like, wow, that was really awesome. It was really challenging.
Is there a FarOut map for this one now?
There's not. No, not yet. I should get with those guys.
Don't you have some
really
sway?
active with them.
Yeah.
What's that?
Don't you have some sway with them?
I do have a little sway to FarOut. I don't know
make
how
one.
many people buy that app. That's kind of the problem with doing the build.
I just read in your bio that it's the thing you're most proud of.
I know.
You're not using the
I know. I should get on that.
influence you have?
No, not yet.
Right.
You don't want to make too many waves right
Yeah.
like that. So that was a really cool hike. And then 2015, I did the Sierra High Route, which was incredible. And then 2016, I'd always told my wife, but I switched my last trading job in 2011 or 12, 11. I told her, I'll do this for 5 more years. Then I'm going to quit at my 20th anniversary of the AT and go hike the CDT. And she's like, well, put away enough money, you can go. So for 2016, I left my job as a broker. I was a lumber broker for years and went hike the CDT. And then after that, I was like, well, I'm going to prioritize hiking over my career to some degree.
Honey, I lied.
Huh?
Honey, I lied.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people that hike a lot
Yep.
will oftentimes veer into like parallel hobbies like ultra running, or you
Don't
get the
run.
people that go into pack rafting
I do
or
that.
bike touring,
I have
all that
that.
stuff. That was going to be my question, is for someone who's
Backcountry
hiked
skiing.
for so long, have you gone into any like different hobby areas?
I'm a huge saltwater fisherman.
Are you?
I spent a lot of my summer on the ocean chasing salmon and tuna and halibut.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like big game fishing, I call it. Like chasing like that next 40-pound Chinook salmon.
What's the best fish you ever caught?
I caught just shy 50-pound salmon in the Halem River in Oregon.
I didn't know salmon got that big.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's probably my proudest salmon
That's-
I've ever caught.
Did you keep
Bigger
it
than
and eat
Harper.
it, or did
I
you put
sure
it back?
did. I bonked that bad boy and brought it home and filleted
Did
it.
you?
Oh, yeah.
Was it delicious?
Oh, yeah. King salmon?
How long did it take you to eat?
Oh, I don't know. We have a freezer in our house full of fish at all times.
Okay, I'm coming over.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your go-to fish recipe? Like, are you doing a lot of poke bowls? Just like straight up
No,
fillets?
for like salmon, we prefer salmon cooked all the way through, my wife and I. So I do a lot of like Old Bay, salt, pepper, a little garlic, a little dill, and then coat it in brown sugar and lemon slices.
Hell yeah.
That's really
That's good
good.
eating.
That's
yeah.
really
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, yeah.
good.
That'll keep a dog living a long time too.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
telling him that Reptar was bragging about his food that he was cooking at the Airbnb last night. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
I
last
didn't
night
know
was
Whitney
Italian
cooked.
night. The night before was taco night. Yeah, I love to cook. I love cooking. That's a huge passion of mine. I've always said that my final career stop's going to be a food cart.
Huh.
It's called Allgood's Rolled Joint. And all I'm going to make is eggplant rollatini, manicotti, cannellonis, and cannolis, and that's it. Everything's
yeah.
rolled.
You
Rolled
gotta talk
Italian
to
food.
Zach about his Van Clam idea.
Oh, yeah? Nice. Nice. I
Zach's
like
really
it.
Basically,
into
a food business built around a name that I really like, but it's called Jean Claude's Van Clams, and we sell clams out of a van.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds great.
It's
Yeah.
$1 billion business
That's
idea.
a great idea. Yeah.
With your interest in cooking,
Yeah.
when you're out on long hikes, are you making like some dope meals?
I make
or are you
dope meals.
Or do you regress to like pasta
No, dude,
sides?
I make dope meals.
What are your go-tos?
Black bean quinoa salad that I make and either freeze dry or dehydrate myself.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites. It's got cilantro, green onions, black beans, quinoa, spices, little lemon juice. That rehydrates really well cold soaked. It's an awesome lunch. I do a lot of venison chili mac.
Yum.
I do eggplant
Do you hunt
parm.
your own venison?
I do hunt, but I have not gotten a deer in a couple years. But my friend usually gives me a deer once a year.
Okay. Nice.
I do cioppino soup.
What's a chipina?
It's a seafood chowder. It's got like salmon, clams, mussels. It's in a red spicy tomato sauce.
Damn, you're eating good on
fish
trail.
Fish rehydrates well?
Oh my God, like instant. I have a freeze dryer.
Yeah.
Drop and roll. Another hiker who lives in my
Yeah.
neighborhood. Her and I own a freeze dryer together. We have a freeze dryer timeshare or freeze dryer co-op.
But can you rehydrate freeze dried the way that you can
Oh, yeah.
rehydrate
Like all the Mountain
dehydrate?
House backpacker, those are all
Mountain Bikes,
freeze-dried.
it's all freeze dried. You just pour in boiling water. We buy the Mylar bags just like they use. We have the oxygen absorbers. We just
Interesting.
How much is a freeze dryer? I don't even know. Like the.
I mean, I think they start at like about $1,200 and they go up to like $5,000 or $6,000. I was in Iceland hiking across Iceland. We'd been talking about buying a freeze dryer for years, and I get a text in the middle of nowhere, Iceland. She's like, "Were you serious about buying a freeze dryer? I found a used one for $2,000. Just let me know if you're so interested." And I wrote back, "Do you need me to Venmo you money now?" And she wrote, "No, you can wait till you get home."
Okay, wait, question, because we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
If you're someone who's dehydrated or curious,
Yeah.
is it worth it to get a dehydrator and start with dehydrating?
Yes.
Or should you save that money and just skip dehydrator and go to freeze dryer?
Listen, you can buy a basic dehydrator like the Nesco. They used to call it Sunbeam, like the disc circle one. I still use my 2 dehydrators. It has an on-off switch. None of this fancy, like, Excalibur or anything like that. You can pick those up at a thrift store usually for $15. I still use one that was my brothers and Boy Scouts in the 80s.
Sometimes it's a little intimidating. Can you unintimidate it for me?
As far as dehydrating?
Yeah.
Just cook the food the way you would cook it. Put it on the pans, turn it on, and then just feel it until it's completely dry.
It really is that easy?
It's very easy, yeah.
Is there anything you can't dehydrate?
Avocado. You need to be careful with meat. Like if you're going to do like ground beef or something, what you really want to do is cook the ground beef and then rinse it with hot water, get all the fat off. Anything with a high fat content has a high chance of going rancid in a dehydrator. Yeah.
But I feel like meat's the best part. Like I'm not going to dehydrate a vegetarian.
Yeah,
meal.
so like one thing you do if you have like a Winco by you, or you can also buy like bulk freeze dried. Like a lot of my friends, what they'll do is they'll dehydrate all like the grains and the veggies and stuff, and then buy commercial freeze dried meat to add to it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because Harmony House does stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Yeah, I got them because I was like, oh, I'll get this freeze dried stuff and I'll add it to my ramens on the PCT.
Then you never did.
Well, I did, but it just like wasn't good.
Oh yeah.
Nothing
make your own
against
jerky?
them. Just I was amateur hour with everything.
I'm not a big jerky fan when I hike.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't do a lot of jerky. I'll do like some meat sticks down there, but I like salamis and things like that. So
Yeah.
I'll just like usually pick up like a summer sausage or salami for meat.
Do you dehydrate or freeze dry any of your own snacks, or is it just meals?
I haven't done any. Oh no, I've done some snacks like some fruit stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
But I really struggle with lunch. Is probably my hardest meal when I'm hiking.
Sure. 'Cause
Like,
you don't wanna
that's the
stop for
hardest
too
thing.
long. Like,
Yeah, so I do like quinoa salad's good, and then I do a lot of dehydrated refried beans and like Fritos and make like a taco salad type bean salad.
what percentage of your food bag on trail is food that you freeze dried or dehydrated?
Oh God, probably like 60% now.
Wow.
Like pretty much all my dinners, my breakfast, generally, yeah.
Can you cold soak to hydrate a dehydrated meal?
You can, yeah. I don't know why you would. I mean, you don't like hot food.
I've never met a cold
Yeah, all right. So there's a hot take. You're against cold soaking. I'm with you if that's the case.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
like
like,
cold soaking.
it's hard enough as it is. Like one, I want a cup of coffee in the morning. I want a hot cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I've had one
sure.
every morning in my life since I was like 14. I want that. And at the end of the day, there's nothing more comforting than a warm meal in your stomach.
Right.
It's like a hug from the inside out.
Especially
Well,
when
I'm
it's
also
cold
like,
outside.
if
Yeah,
I'm
especially when
gonna
it's cold, yeah.
carry a freaking Talenti jar, I might as well just carry a pot.
Right. Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And I don't mean like I was an alcohol stove guy forever. And then I switched over to one of those Soto Windmaster Pros. It's like that thing heats up water in like 2 seconds. It's super efficient. Those fuel canisters last forever. You can buy a fuel canister anywhere in the world now
Yeah.
that you go. It's crazy.
The
Yeah.
stove weighs nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just also like in an emergency situation, like everyone's gonna be so ultra like, okay, now you have no clothes.
Yeah.
And now you get in a bad situation with some cold weather and you're like, oh, I'm almost hypothermic. Well, you know what can really help solve that quickly? A hot drink.
Yeah.
Or a hot
Oh,
meal.
those hypothermic. Let me just cold soak for a second.
Yeah.
I had a food question, but it is escaping me. Maybe we'll come back to it. But have you always been freeze drying and dehydrating? Like, at what
I've always
point?
been dehydrating. Like I even dehydrated some of my own food for the AT back in the 90s.
Really?
So I've always used dehydrators. Yeah.
Yeah.
The freeze dryer is 3 years old.
Yeah.
So it's kind of new.
What
Here's my
tastes
question:
better?
Is you're
Freeze dry.
obviously freeze drying, dehydrating can be intimidating to people, like
Right.
Sean's mentioned. Do you have like a go-to can't fuck up recipe that like somebody listening to this could be like, this is my entry into freeze drying or dehydrating that is not difficult to fuck up?
I mean, I think chili mac's pretty easy. You make like whatever kind of chili you want. If you're afraid of the meat, like if you're worried about rancidity, I would get like Morningstar, like soy crumbles. So you make your chili, make a big thing of macaroni. When you cook the chili, you want it. If you're gonna dehydrate more than freeze drying, you want to cook beans to where they burst because it will make them rehydrate faster.
You're penetrating the skin.
Yeah, you're penetrating
so
the
you absorb it
skin.
faster.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like, that's a really easy one. It's like, it tastes really good. You mix it all together and then you can portion it out and dehydrate it. It's a real easy one. And then that black bean quinoa salad. I mean, that to me is like the easiest thing I make. And we eat that a lot at home during the summer.
Yeah.
That was the problem with my 3 days of cold soaking was I tried to make risotto.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
knew
not gonna
nothing
do well.
about penetrating the skin.
No.
Just sounds dirty.
No,
But
the first time I tried to make quinoa on trail, I didn't realize you had to like boil it forever.
Yeah.
I thought you just like put hot water in it would like rehydrate. It does not work that way.
dude, I was like, I guess I'm just fucked into eating like hard risotto, and
Right.
I was shitting my brains out the next morning.
Yes.
Insane. Okay, I had a couple questions. Is there a way to like at a glance tell if something's fatty? Like you're talking about ground beef. And like obviously if I'm looking at a piece of bacon, I can see the fat. But something like ground beef, you're not seeing the fat in that way.
Well, you're going to want to get like the leanest beef you can.
Yeah.
And then you just want to rinse it off.
But does it have, like, if I'm just looking at a meal, like let's say I'm making a chicken chili or I'm making a ground beef, like,
well, a lot of people, like a lot of like freeze-dried recipes or dehydrated recipe books will tell you like to cool the product and then skim the fat layer that absorbs on the top. You know, like think about making like chili or something, you know, and you let it sit out and it gets that like hard fat layer on the top.
Oh, like when it gets cold.
Like when it gets cold.
Yeah.
And then scoop that off.
Yeah. It kind of like I've had that happen and like didn't know what it was and it kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, it's just fat.
It was like something's growing on our food.
Right.
It was like
fat.
It's literally just fat.
That cold fat layer off and then dehydrate from there.
How perfect does it need to be?
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Okay.
I would say if something has a high fat content or meat, if you're going to dehydrate it, buy yourself a vacuum packer. They're not expensive.
Yeah.
Vacuum pack. And if you have the option, store it in your freezer till you're ready to go.
What world wouldn't you vacuum seal it?
I don't know. Some people don't buy vacuum sealers. I mean,
do they buy the oxygen absorbers instead?
So like with freeze drying, they tell you not to vacuum pack it. They tell you to put an oxygen absorber, squeeze the air out, seal it, because that way the oxygen absorber will actually like act like a freeze dry, like a vacuum packer and suck in. And that's how you know if you have a good seal is if it's getting tighter and tighter. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the actual shelf life on that? Because I know that the
freeze drying stuff, I mean, I've had people tell me it's good for like 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the guys at Mountain House told me one day when I was on a trip with them, they were like, yeah, we have a 10-year expiration because we have to have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is gear a passionate subject for you? I know you worked at a gear company.
Gear. I mean, I've been a gear geek my whole life. I love
Yeah,
gear. I worked
yeah.
in gear for 7 years.
Yeah.
I love gear.
I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen you wearing anything other than a Jolly shirt, which props. I love Jolly as well.
Yeah, I don't actually, Jolly knows I don't wear them a lot hiking because I find them a little warm for hiking.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do love the Jolly shirts. I think they're very stylish. I think it's a super creative design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's something you feel very passionate about in the gear world? Maybe like a unpopular opinion.
I don't think everyone should be carrying hipless, frameless backpacks. I think that when you're in your 20s, your body can take a lot. And I think as you get in your 30s and 40s, you're going to pay the price with shoulder issues and back issues because you compressed a lot of stuff in your body wanting to look cool without a hip belt and any kind of frame in your pack.
So someone getting into backpacking that's younger, what's like an ideal, maybe give a few packs, because I know obviously you've got allegiances to companies that you've worked for.
Yeah, I think
Gossamer
Gossamer Gear makes a great kind of balance of like a backpack with a light frame that can handle up to like 30 pounds pretty comfortably. I would say if you're really new to ultralight, 6 Spoons makes a good pack. ULA makes a great pack. I mean, I recommend ULA to a lot of people when they're trying to get into going lighter weight because I think they make a very durable pack that lasts a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think they have a good suspension system. I won't use a pack if it doesn't have load lifters most of the time unless I'm going to keep it under like 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to get weight off my trapezius muscles at times.
Yeah. Are you staying pretty ultralight?
Yeah, I stay pretty ultralight. I mean, I've noticed as I'm getting older, I carry a little bit more comfort for camp.
Yeah.
I carry a pillow.
Yeah.
Inflatable pad.
It's funny. No one carried a pillow. I feel like no one carried a pillow
right.
7 years ago. And now everyone does. I talk to carries a pillow.
Oh my gosh, I'm so much better. And then electronics have gotten that's kind of like what's added weight back to my pack. Sure. It's like the InReach and then the headphones, then the phone, and now I got to carry a battery pack to charge everything. That changed everything
for
too.
Sure. Yeah.
But I just think I mean, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't think most people should have a frameless pack because I don't think they pack light enough. I've seen my experience working in the gear industry. I saw a lot of people with a very light backpack cram a lot of heavy gear into it.
Sure. Yeah, especially if you're doing a trail like the CDT where you're carrying 7 liters of water.
Yeah, totally. Like when I did the Oregon Desert Trail, I had to carry 3 gallons of water and 7 days of food out of a town one day. Yeah. And it's I had a pack on that could handle 50 pounds because it's dude, I'm going to have 50 pounds of weight.
Yeah.
The whole thing with gear is they're tools. And it's you got to have the right tool for the right job.
Yeah. Speaking of Oregon Desert Trail, I'd be remiss to not bring up Shira.
I
know obviously she's a pal and
super close.
Much like you, she's very influential and instrumental to this community. What's the latest with her status?
She's doing great.
Is she?
Things have been reduced. She's done with chemo. They said if the drugs keep shrinking stuff, she should be in good shape.
Fuck yeah.
So, I mean, her life's getting back. She's traveling a bunch right now.
Hell yeah.
We got her birthday coming up in June.
Love that.
Yeah, we're like, me, her, and Dirtmonger. Like, her and Dirtmonger have the same birthday.
Okay.
And my birthday is like 6 days later. So, like, we're like all birthday buddies.
Yeah,
So,
love
yeah,
that.
no, it's super cool.
Yeah.
She's doing really well. We were in Wisconsin together at the International Trail Summit. It was the first time she had really traveled. So,
Yeah.
it's
I
pretty
got
cool.
super emotional the first time I read that she posted that.
Oh,
up
yeah.
there.
It was
like,
pretty busted up going down and seeing her in February, too. And
Yeah.
seeing her in the neck brace and everything was pretty,
yeah.
very emotional. But no, she's doing really well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is the GoFundMe still going, or is
I
that?
think so. You know, we
She-Ra?
also, we
Yeah.
also had like a fundraiser at the end of February after the ALDHA Ruck. We had always dreamed of doing the ALDHA-West Ruck, which was like, you know, the Alt National Park. So we did an ALDHA-West Ruck. It was called ALDHA-West You're So Rucked. And the entry fee to go was you had to bring a highly used or useless piece of gear, and we were gonna have a used and useless gear raffle, and we raised $1,200 for her.
Hell yeah.
So funny.
Love that.
I do think the GoFundMe is still going because
Yeah.
she posts her updates there.
Yeah.
Which I think is so smart.
Yeah. So you were in the bathroom. Allgood just said that like she's doing way better.
Way better.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the GoFundMe, like the updates, I always skim them, and it seems like she's in good spirits and doing good. Just
Not
like-
only that, but like the cancer's like it's gone out of the brain. They don't see
Really?
it. The tumors are shrinking. The
Oh,
chemo
that's such
worked.
good news.
The new drug has worked. Yeah, so it's like they figured it out, and like she's doing really, really well.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's really awesome.
I have
We're
to
so
commend
happy
her
for her.
just on her attitude the entire time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I would not handle it that well. I'd be
No.
like,
Not only her partner Kirk is a lesson in like what love and partnership is in a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, how he's cared for her and just was like there for her. I was just like, I've known them for years. I was just like, Kirk, dude, I'm just blown away.
Yeah.
I've always had a huge man crush on her boyfriend to begin with. And I was like, dude, you just like next leveled it. Like
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
next leveled it.
Yeah.
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 love that.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
Much love to She-Ra.
Yeah.
We'll include the GoFundMe in the show notes again as well.
Sweet.
How'd you get involved with ALDHA-West?
I went to that gathering the first time and went to a couple more, and then someone was like, you should be on the board. So I went up on the board, and I was on the board for about a year, and I was like, man, this organization should be a lot better. But I just ran for the be president. And
What year is this?
2013,
Okay.
I became the president, and I was just like,
Is it 13 to 20?
I was 13 and 19.
19. Okay.
Yeah, and I was on the board for 1 year, so
Yeah.
2012 to 2019.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when I became the president, I was like, dude, we need to save this organization or it's going to go away.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it was like, we had a core, older base of members who had been there from the beginning. And we needed new blood or we were going to die. So getting younger people involved was really key. I think doing all the educational programming we developed was really helpful. But I think respecting like the traditions of ALDHA-West went a long way to like having buy-in from our old time members where like they would be like, we'd be at events and they'd like the older members like in their 70s would be like, this is exactly what this organization should be. This is awesome. We're so happy. Like they were just so pumped of what we were doing.
So what were some of the biggest changes that you made?
One is we expanded the board from being like 2 people doing everything to like an executive board of 4 members plus the at-large board members. We started doing all the ruck programming for education. I think that was like the biggest thing we did. We really switched to be a 501c3. So we were an educational nonprofit, not a fraternity nonprofit. And that was big. And then I think that the gathering, we just started bringing in like high caliber people. It's like being involved in that community, knowing a lot of people is like, all right, this person just did this. Like, let's get them. Let's get Traum and Pepper just finished the PCT winter hike. They're good friends. Let's get them in, you know, and bringing in like, I think just higher caliber speakers really helped
Yeah.
revitalize things and get things going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With older members being a majority at the time that you were there, did you have a period where it was like, who the fuck is this guy? He's been here for a year. We've been here for like 30 years. Why is he president?
Yeah, there was people like that. I just railroaded them. Not gonna lie. I mean, I'm pretty jovial, I'm pretty friendly. I think it was like, I think if I had just like shown up and it was just like, oh, this guy's just messing everything up. It's like they were like, wait, like this person has a passion, energy for this. Like they're actually like making it happen. I think if it was like pie in the sky, nothing was happening. They'd be like, what is this guy? But
Yeah.
we did it incrementally too. You know, it was like the first year we did the gathering a little different, and then that year was like, hey, can we get a vice president on the board? And then the next year we were like, hey, we want to do this person. Like, can we split the treasurer and the secretary to be 2 positions? And then it was the year that we were like, we want to be a 501c3. That's when we hit a railroad
Okay.
for a year.
So you're frog and watering them.
I was frog and watering them, yeah. But the 501c3 was really important because I was spending a tremendous amount of my own personal money to travel for ALDHA-West. So like go to outdoor retailer, get donations, work with brands to help support us. And I couldn't write any of it off. So when we became a 501c3, I could then now on my taxes be like, well, I wrote off all this travel for this duty that I do.
Yeah.
And that was a huge benefit. And also the longevity of the organization was like, people could set up in their estate. I want to set up my estate to give a donation, a recurring donation, ALDHA-West, things like that. So it allowed us to be able to handle more money, bring in more money for better programming, to do more. And now it's like what they've done since I left, like the diversity scholarship. I mean, that's like the coolest thing they ever could imagine doing. It's like, and even our like older members are just like, last year the gathering, I was like, this is the greatest thing we've ever done.
So what was the older members' beef leading up to it?
I just think nobody wanted to do it.
Well, if you're there being like, I'll do it, why?
Oh, you know, people are always afraid of change, and you're always going to have some person who just wants to grind against change for no reason without getting all the facts. That was basically it.
Yeah.
I like the part of what you said where you said, I'm very friendly. I steamrolled them.
Yeah. Told him with kindness. He did it with a smile on his face.
Yeah. So as the president of ALDHA-West,
Yeah.
how many hours per week or month, or like how much are you dedicating to that?
I mean, in the beginning when I first started being the president, I was putting in like probably like, I don't know, at least 10 hours a week.
Damn.
Of my free time. And, you know, it got out of control. Once we started doing the rucks, it was like we did 1 ruck and then we did 3 rucks and then we were doing 5 rucks. And I was like, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And there'd be times where it would be less and more. And you have different boards, you know, board members come and go. So you have some boards that are really engaged. You have other ones where the executive team's carrying a lot of the water. So it just kind of depended. But it was a lot of my time. It was a lot of my free time. But I also really enjoyed it. I mean, some of my closest friendships are because of that board of ALDHA-West.
Is this all volunteer based or did you
100%.
get paid?
Is there ever a thought of making those paid positions? Because like it's tough. Like it's tough.
I mean,
for
it's
anybody.
been discussed, but it's like you got to have enough money to sustain somebody. You don't want to bring somebody on and not be able to sustain them with a livable wage.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's the point is like,
Yeah.
I feel like you could get the value of somebody if you're able to at least pay them enough
Right.
that they can dedicate the time needed to it. Cause
Yeah.
like, even for you to give 10 hours per week is like, that's very,
it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then a board meeting, you know, we used to have these board meetings that last for hours and hours and hours. Luckily, that's all changed now.
Yeah.
Like the new board, I think, is very conscious of people's time.
Sure.
Is what I've been told.
Yeah. All right.
So, but I mean, it was hard to let go of it too.
Yeah.
How long were you with them?
7 years,
How long were you president?
6.
Oh yeah, there was no like 1 year or 4 years to a term or.
It's a 2-year term. And now I think you can only serve 3 terms consecutively. That's what we changed it to, if I recall.
Is that a
Literally,
vote?
Dude, Whitney was there for 6 years. Let's not do anything
No,
longer.
I was the one who forced that bylaw change.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, my 3rd time being elected, I was like, I will agree to run again if and only if you guys before the election change the bylaws right now to put in a term limit. I was like, because I was like, there's 2 reasons. 1, I'm burned out. I only have 2 more years of this. 2, you need new blood. You need new eyes. You need new blood. You can't just keep being the Whitney show. You need new people and perspective in here to make the organization better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
I text Sarah real quick? Cause she's
Yeah,
got
you
my
can-
car keys
you can
just
do
to
it.
See when I need to be back.
You can text in. You don't even have to. We're not even going to edit this out. This will just be part of the
Me and
podcast.
Zach will just chat.
We had a guy walk in and we still don't know who that
I
person
texted
was.
Jess back because I brought my phone to the bathroom because I saw she messaged. So I was like, God forbid it's something important. And she was like, "Who's Mustache Man?"
Yeah.
Because you said, "Do you know the mustache
Yeah.
guy?"
No, I don't think anyone knows who that
I
person
responded.
is.
I was like, "I'm not wearing my glasses." I don't know if I said I wasn't wearing my glasses, but I was like, "Yeah." He just opened the back door, went to walk in, saw we were in here, and turned around.
Nice. All
Okay,
right.
I'm going to be limited by when Sarah wants to go.
Okay. Fair enough. Let us know when you need to get out, and
Okay.
we'll put a bow on it.
Yeah.
Where should we go to next? So
6 Moon Designs.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
How'd you get hooked up with them?
Well, I know Ron for like a decade through ALDHA-West, and he had seen me like take the organization. He was a past president. He saw me how involved it was. He saw me take the organization from where it was to where it went to. And, you know, knew I wanted to work in the outdoor industry. I had an entry-level job. So, you know, he kind of recruited me to come and work there for a long time. It took about 1.5 years for me to agree to go work there.
Do you know any fun secrets about how the meat's made?
I know all the secrets of how the meat's made, but I don't think I can talk about that
Not
necessarily.
even one? Not even one little chunk of meat?
Well, I'll say this. You know, Ron is definitely an interesting gear designer because he's self-taught. And he sews every prototype himself.
That's cool.
So that's pretty interesting. And, he tested himself and, like the Lunar Solo. The original Lunar Solo didn't have a pump out in the back. It was just a rectangular mid. And he went to New Mexico and he got caught in a sandstorm. And his tank got ripped. He was like, this design does not work. So then he tried the bump out. And then the bump out, and he did that, and he went back to New Mexico and got another big storm. He's like, and it held.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of what came with that. But what's more interesting is that he'd want to make a Gatewood Cape forever, and he could never figure out the design. And then he said one day he was sitting there, and he's like, wait a minute. And he took a pair of scissors, cut the floor of a Lunar Solo, and then cut the peak off, and put it over. It was like, that's it. So
That's funny.
yeah.
What's something about just the cottage industry in general that like the average fan of through hiking or the backpacking world in general wouldn't know?
It's really a tough business to be in because it's not very big margins.
Yeah.
And everybody wears a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're catering to the niche of the niche.
You're catering the niche of the niche, and it's like, when people are like, why don't they do it lighter like this? It's like, well, because like why you might be able to handle a backpack that light, the average person is going to destroy that backpack.
Yeah.
So I think the thing with the cottage industry is every company is like the same pattern. They start by making something as light as they can, and then it gets a little heavier and heavier and heavier because they put it out too light, and it gets destroyed, and then it goes back and back and back and back and back. So yeah.
Now that you're out of the cottage gear.
Yeah.
company.
And in the cottage tech industry.
Yeah. Now that you're in cottage AI.
Yeah.
What are some things about like the cottage gear industry in general that are cool to know in terms of like I feel like a lot of companies have been going under recently since COVID.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
it's
it's
like hard to
really-
stay afloat.
Well, I think one thing is when COVID happened, I think a lot of people who had dreamed of making gear found themselves with time on their hands. So that's why I think from like 2000 or 2020 to like 2023, we saw a gazillion pack companies come and go. I mean, a lot of Rayway style frameless through hiker type packs come and go. It seemed like every 4 months there was a new pack brand. It was the hottest thing. Everybody wanted it. There was a big wait time. They couldn't keep up with demand. And then it'd be the next one and the next one and the next one. I think one thing people don't know is like, there's a lot more contemporaries than competitors. Like some of my closest friends in business were my competitors in the outdoor industry. Like I'm super good friends with Jonathan at Gossamer. Granted, I was their ambassador for 7 years before I worked at Six Moon Designs, but it's like Ron Bell at MLD,
Fucking
Jonathan
love Ron
at
Bell.
Jonathan. Yeah, me too. So MLD, Mont Bell, Jonathan at Gossamer Gear, Chris and Aaron at Catabatic. I mean, we're all friends. Like during COVID, we were having like COVID happy hours, like to catch up every quarter. And there's a lot more like contemporary than competitor, which I think is really cool. It's a really unique experience.
It's like almost vomit worthy how wholesome it is.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of brands that are really competitive, and you're just like, all right, they don't play nice with others for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And they're all East Coast based. That's all I'll say.
What do they rhyme with?
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Blink twice.
Yeah.
No.
Let's just say there's a couple down there in Bender Alley. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Booth number 234.
Yeah. What is it like working at FarOut? It was funny that you mentioned that Ron Moak was all self-taught because we interviewed Ryan way back in the day.
Yeah, he's self-taught.
Yeah,
And Alice is self-taught. Like Alice, she coded the Android one, and she was self-taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I assumed that Ryan was just like a computer engineer by trade.
Yeah,
It was
no,
just
he's
like
like self-taught.
He's just like a guy that's like, I want to solve this problem, so I'm
Yeah.
going to teach myself how to code. And he made the most powerful navigation app in the
Yeah,
world
him and
through
Paul.
hiking.
Him and Paul working together that first year before Alice joined. They really put together something really awesome.
Yeah. So what's the next step for FarOut? Like, obviously, you guys have a stranglehold in
The through hiking community.
Yeah, exactly.
So right now we're really trying to focus on like our shorter stuff that we have available and in marketing, getting the word out. Like we have a bunch of like hiking books with Adventure Keen now for like 60 hikes within 60 miles of like Cincinnati and Nashville and DC and Portland. And Denver's going to come online this summer. One night wilderness guides, like we're getting those. We're doing a lot of paddling guides, expanding our reach in paddling, national park stuff. Like we have one for the Great Smokies, we have one for Shenandoah. We're really trying to like expand into that broader base, day hiker, weekend warrior type market. Cause it's like they all use all trails. and they all complain about it.
Yeah.
It's like, we know we have a better product.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you tell people, hey, there's this better product?
Yeah.
Because we don't have, we're a self-funded company. We don't have outside money like those guys. So we don't have tons of money to advertise. Like I can't go on Facebook and just start dropping $3,000 a week.
Right.
Because we don't really have that kind of like investment money to do that. We're self-funded. So it's like, how do you get the word out to the masses? So like this week at our booth, we've been really promoting that. And there's a lot of people. It's like, hey, your through hike's over. You're still going to want to hike.
Yeah.
Now you're back in life. Check that. Like the same app's still for this area. So
Sometimes when I'm in my biggest FOMO phases, I just go on FarOut and scroll through the different maps that they have and like make a list of things I'd like to do. And so it's fun for like learning about new trails too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I would say like FarOut, just like Six Moons, just like any cottage job or job where you're catering to hiking. It's like, I think what people don't realize is once you work in the industry, you only get to hike in the fall.
Yeah.
It's like you get to go in shoulder season when it's slow, like Labor Day to about late October. That's your window to go do stuff.
Yeah. Though September, I think, is the best month.
Oh, September's the best month to do anything.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You talk to anybody in the world, northern, southern hemisphere, they're like, oh yeah, September.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
The only person having a bad September is kids starting school.
Exactly.
No, that's actually better for me because then it gives me more freedom.
No. You're not the kid starting school.
I know, but I'm saying like as someone with kids.
Not talking about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a big phase for us. The second thing is we have a new B2B platform that we developed called FarOut Express. And that's what I'm focusing all my energy on right now to try to like get that off the ground for us. So
what is that?
Yeah.
So say you're a hiking, like say you're a tour operator that does like self-guided tours or guided tours, like hiking tours, walking tours, paddling tours. We can take your tour and convert it to a FarOut app where your client would then be the only person to access it if it's a guided tour. Or if it's self-guided, we could sell it on the platform for them or they could sell it. So expanding that market. And then also like resort owners. Like right now I'm working with quite a few ranches we're trying to get online. Like high-end dude ranches. Like super fancy vacations that people take.
Yeah,
but they have like hiking
trails. If you ever need
trails.
someone to test out those maps.
Yeah.
You send me to a dude ranch.
Oh, I went to a dude ranch and it was amazing.
Oh, I've been on Dude Ranch before. Yeah, it's great. It's a great
awesome.
family vacation.
It's a great family
been.
vacation.
Yeah,
So think about like going there and want to go mountain biking. It's like,
Yeah.
well, here's this app that works for our resort. Just scan this QR code. Now you got this app to find your way around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're working on. That's like our next phase is trying to get this B2B side of the business going too.
So were they in charge of providing all the GPS?
They
tracking?
can or we can. It all depends on the
So
client.
is
The client's
FarOut
specific.
hiring somebody that's just going to go there with a GPS track?
That's the last case. I think most people realize that we could just use our app. We'll
Yeah.
show you how to record it. They'll
Yeah.
send someone out on their staff.
Sure.
Because if we're going to send someone out, it's like you got to pay their travel, their
Yeah,
lodging.
right,
This
right.
is like the per diem rate and the
Yeah.
wild collection rate.
Yeah, sure.
I'll offer you a steep discount if you send me to a
To
dude
send you?
ranch.
Okay. I have quite a few thru-hiker friends that are on board.
Yeah. Do you need to bounce?
I need to bounce in the next 10. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we just put a bow on it.
Sure.
Here's a question I have.
Sure.
Having worked at FarOut for a bit now,
Yeah.
is there anything cool you've learned about FarOut that you didn't know prior to working there that you're like, holy shit, that's pretty fucking neat?
Yeah, I didn't know you could do custom routes. And
I'm learning this.
you can use a custom route to plan each day and then navigate with the custom route. When you select a custom route, you only see the elevation profile of that section of trail you're hiking. That's really cool. I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I've just been zooming in on the elevation map
Yeah.
to the distance.
Yeah,
of
you
the
just
dog.
do create custom route and you just do a long drop and a long drop to where you want to go, and then you can name it, and then you can just use that while you're hiking, and it just shows that profile on that part of the map.
And it'll snap to the curvy bits.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. What point are you going to just expand to be more like a traditional navigation app?
I don't think we're ever going to be expanding quite that much. I mean, there's two things that are limiting for us. One is to have a subscription with the map, the base map people, to have everything is super expensive.
Yeah.
It's beyond what we could operate with right now with our model. Two, I think what sets us apart and makes us a better product is the fact we have really accurate information from the people we work with.
Yeah.
Where I think the problem with Onyx or All Trails or Outer Spaces, they're taking public tracks, scouring the internet for them, user information, and making it public.
Yeah.
And I think that's what leads to a lot of problems with land use or misinformation, things like that.
Or a trail that's no longer a trail.
A trail is no longer a trail, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the other thing with things like Gaia is because there's so much you can do, it's intimidating as fuck if you're just brand new to it.
Yeah, well,
Versus-
Caltopia, I find Gaia has really been dumbed down since since it's been bought out, which is fine. It's a lot easier for the average user to use. Caltopo is pretty intimidating. Even for me, who's done GIS stuff for years, like I get on Caltopo and I'm like, ooh, man, this is... Yeah. Where's the button for this? How do you do that on
You're like an engine in a cockpit.
In a good way, though, I feel like FarOut has like training wheels on. It's like one of those apps with training wheels where it's like, it's really hard to fuck this up.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is, our biggest problems half the time are people don't go to town and check for updates. There's an update that fixed a bug. Last year we had, was it last year, the year before, they had that whole issue with Apple.
What, when you zoom in and you can't see the red line anymore?
Right, because Apple, it was like an Apple issue. It was like, everyone was like, oh, FarOut. It's like, dude, it's Apple. It's not us. It's Apple.
I wasted so many hours on the Ozark Highlands Trail because I was just following blazes.
I'm so
and they're like few and far between, and there's so many fucking water crossings where it's like, does the trail parallel or does it cross?
Yeah.
So I'd love to get your take as somebody that works at FarOut and like knowing that obviously sometimes there are technical limitations that are outside of your control. Do you advise that people should always have maps with them?
I mean, we say that. Listen, when I hiked the CDT, I hiked with a lot of people who had never thru-hiked or done a hike before.
Yeah.
They couldn't read a map.
Yeah.
Using FarOut taught them how to read a map. Yeah, we always say bring a paper map. Probably unpopular opinion. My opinion is bring an old phone. Back it up on an old phone. If you don't know how to read a map and your phone dies, all of a sudden you don't know how to read a map.
Yeah, right.
You know what you could do is pull out your second old phone that's probably a lot lighter and fire it up and have a backup right there.
Yeah.
It's like almost so simple it's genius.
Yeah. So maybe that's the better option, and that way it's staying up to date too. But yeah, I mean, paper maps are helpful. I personally navigate. I use FarOut to know where I am, and then I pull a paper map so I save my battery and use that to find my way a lot of the times.
So you do bring paper maps?
I do, yeah. But I mean, I've been thru-hiking for like 30 years.
Yeah, but some people say they bring paper maps because you're supposed to say that.
CDT, I brought a printed out set of lay maps because there was great information on there.
Yeah.
There's like water information on there that wasn't anywhere else.
Yeah.
So.
So what have been the other beefs with FarOut? I want to address them before we let you go. The red dot thing, which sounds like
that sucked. We just did a big update for common filtering.
Okay.
Apparently, it's always tough when you release something in the spring because there are some people on trail. We know there's glitches. We can't predict everything or test for everything. So I know that's been a beef. I think we're kind of over the hump on that. I think people realize they either need to update their app or occasionally on iPhone, for whatever reason, it freezes. We know the reason, but it's a hard fix. Sometimes with an iPhone, if you're having a lot of problems, you need to uninstall and reinstall.
Yeah. I have a product suggestion for you, or a feature suggestion.
I love it.
Is either on the map or the trail profile, I guess it could be both, is a search feature. Because there's so many times where I'm like trying to find a town or a specific.
I can show you how to do that as soon as we're off.
Is that a thing that exists already?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Just go list of waypoint list, and then at the top there's a search bar. You can type what you're finding and pop it right up.
It'll bring you in the map.
And then you can hit it and say show on map.
Oh shit.
Yep.
So I guess maybe
this is blowing my mind because I have my own little hyperfixations that I will cross-reference FarOut to see like what mile marker something I'm reading about is. And I'm just like, if it's in Pennsylvania, in the state of Pennsylvania map, scrolling through the waypoint list, like trying to find.
Yeah, I don't know if you can search by name. You definitely search by name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm trying to look for like the search bar at the top of a thing. But yeah, no, it's good to know. Okay.
Do you guys have any like info videos?
Yeah, totally. I would say, listen, when I started there, even using the app for years, the first thing I did was go to our YouTube channel and watch all the shorts. And it explains it for iPhone and Android, each and everything you need to know.
Okay. What was the social feature that you guys rolled out a couple of years ago?
Yeah, we still have that. We're going to probably revamp that later in the year. We're kind of working on a project on that right now to improve that. But with the social feature, it's really like you can invite people to follow you. You can have followers, and then it's closed. So only people you want to share where you are or social check-ins can see your social check-ins.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought of something. This was something that we were talking about when I was on the AT. Was it would be so cool if I use this on my phone, how you have to find my, and you can do find my friends.
Right.
Like that's just how I'll just scroll on it like it's social media. I'm like, who's doing what today? You know? But I think it'd be so cool if there was a way where if I have FarOut open and it has my location services and I'm friends with these 5 people on trail, I can open my map and go to find my friends or whatever version you call it. And I can see like, okay, so-and-so's a mile ahead of me. So-and-so's 0.5 behind. If I could see them on the map too, that would be insane.
I mean, that is something we get a lot of suggestions for. I just don't know I'm not a technology person.
Yeah.
Just to be straight up, like, I'm good at sales, I'm good at personality, I'm good at
Yeah.
marketing, I'm good at business, but like the nuts and bolts of how to make that happen, I don't know. That's,
Just
that's a Kyle
whisper
question.
it in the ear of your tech
Kyle.
guy. You know it'd be cool, Kyle?
Yeah. All right. Well, I know you got to go for
Yeah.
a dinner. Next time you're passing through, we'll do a round 2 if you're down for
Yeah,
it.
totally.
Yeah.
I'd love
Yeah,
to.
yeah. But yeah, all good. You're a legend. Where should people go to keep up with you, or I guess any red carpet that you want to put out here?
I mean, Instagram. I don't do a ton of social media anymore, but AGK9 Adventures is my social media handle. I do post stuff on there fairly, I guess, somewhat regularly. Otherwise, I mean, I'm at every trail event. You can find me there, and I'm pretty accessible. So you can always hit me up, and I'll reply to people. So.
Yeah. But thanks for doing this. Long overdue.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me.
I'd love to do a round 2 sometime.
Yeah, totally. I would too.
Yeah,
I'll
great.
come visit you in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be more fun. Maybe in maybe
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. This one is going to seem a little time traveler-y because we recently featured an article which just highlighted how well trail days went this year. This was an official piece. This just was inspired by the fact that Kelly and I do a couple of editorial chats every week, and she asked how trail days was. And like the light bulb went off of like how smooth everything was. Because there was a period of time last year, shortly after Hurricane Helene, where I was sure that there was no way that this was going to happen.
You were convinced that it wasn't happening this year.
Up until when Damascus sent the email being like, no, it's still game on. And they sent that pretty early on. I have to go through my inbox to see what the date, but I want to say that was like...
I feel like you were skeptical when it happened.
I was surprised. I mean, I'm sure once they said it, I'm like, okay, it's happening. But I was skeptical about like how the state of the town would be. And honestly, if you weren't looking for any signs of damage, I don't think we would have even noticed.
Yeah.
Everything was rebuilt, repaired. Everyone was in good spirits. It helped a lot that the weather was nice. I think that definitely lifted the mood of the town relative to past years. But yeah, shout out to the town of Damascus, Virginia for getting the infrastructure back in place for trail days. From our vantage point, everything ran incredibly smoothly. We reached out to town of Damascus to just get some stats, and they had over 20,000 people attend this year's festival.
Wow.
So not a small event. Yeah, just kudos to Damascus. And
How did they know? Like, I didn't sign anything.
It's a very good question. I don't know how they know that. But I didn't even go to Tennessee this year, so that's where the bulk of the people are.
Maybe off of wristbands for that.
Yeah. It certainly seemed like there was near 20,000 for the mega Trek Z-Packs raffle.
Yeah, that was a lot of people.
That was a lot of people.
That was a sea of people.
I have some fun photos from inside the booth. It was like, even with the 0.5 view on the camera, it was like people packed from each edge of the frame.
Yeah, I gotta do that again.
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, if you want to see the official write-up on this one, head to the link in the show notes. Done by Kelly. Excellent job. Question of the day: if animals could talk, which species would be the most annoying?
Follow-up question: are they all talking at the same volume?
Are you asking like, would the audio level be proportionate to the size of their bodies? Yeah, I think their voices would be proportionate to their actual voices.
Okay, that complicates it. I was going to go with insects because you'd think that maybe a different animal would be really annoying, but there's insects everywhere. There's bugs everywhere. And like, imagine you're walking by an anthill and you're just hearing thousands of ants just, ah!
Yeah.
I feel like that would make a person go insane.
Sure. Yeah, but not big enough to actually, probably couldn't even hear it. Like,
well, don't they probably talk now in like a higher frequency than we can hear?
I don't know how they communicate.
I just picture them screeching. Always screeching. But like so high that we can't hear it.
Ants communicate primarily through chemical signals, but they also use touch and sound. Here's a breakdown of the main methods. Chemical communication, trail pheromones, alarm pheromones, recruitment pheromones, social regulation pheromones, yada, yada, yada. Let's see what the sound says. Some ants produce sound by rubbing body parts together, a process known as stridulation. This is especially useful in dark environments like underground nests. It's often used by queens or trapped ants to call for help. So rubbing body parts together. So it's not like vocal sounds.
Then maybe my backup will be house pets. Because I know that Harper would be adorable and I love her so much and she'd probably have a cute little girl accent, but I don't know if she would ever shut up.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think she would always be trying to get your attention. She'd be like, hey, Mom, look at me. Look at me. Get off the phone. Look at me.
Very needy.
Hey, do you want to get up? Hey, do you want to go outside? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I think that would detract from her cuteness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
But this isn't specifically Harper. I'm not putting it all on Harper.
Sounds like you are.
Imagine you had
advice.
Your 2 dogs and then you had the cats when you had the cats. Imagine all of them are just fucking talking all day.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get some work done or some shut eye.
Yeah.
The cat's like, hey, here's this thing that I saw in the yard before that is so mundane.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think that's a bad choice at all.
Okay, house pets.
Weird aside, I'm not going to give my answer quite yet. You know how I did the triple crown of longest minutes and I just shat on people who talk about their dreams?
Yes.
I was rewarded by having one of the craziest dreams of my life. And I was like so tempted to tell Jenna about it. And then like it was literally the night after we recorded that. So I couldn't. Like I would have been the biggest piece of shit hypocrite of all time. So I had to just live with this insane dream. I'm not going to repeat it, but I think.
Can you give us like cliff notes?
There was flooding. It ended up being very sad, and that's why I had to communicate with my wife about it because it involved family members. But
oh my God,
yeah, it was dark. It was very dark. Yeah,
and
that happened literally.
You just had to bear it by yourself because you couldn't share.
Yes, I can't get it out of my system, and now I'm still just saturated in it. But
yeah, but okay, are you anti all dreams? Like I know we're not talking about aspirational dreams, or are you just anti the dreams that people think are cool that aren't? Because, like, if someone came to you and they said, hey, I had this really scary dream, like, this stuff happened and I'm really worried, would you still be like, don't care?
Yeah, it would still definitely be that way. I just personally think that, I know there's a lot of people that think that, like, there's very clear symbols for what dreams mean. And I'm sure there's a lot of truth in that. But I also think, and someone will correct me, that it's just random firings, like things that you've seen and just your brain just trying to organize stuff. So it's just random firings of your brain. And while that might be interesting to you, it can't be interesting to anyone but you. Even the dream that I experienced, like it was impactful, which is why I wanted to share it. But I don't expect even Jenna, the person that's closest to me in my entire life, to give a fuck about it. Like she would listen to be kind, but not to be like, oh, well, let's break this down and have some interesting takeaways. Like, no, she would just listen because she's nice.
Okay, well.
Anyways, if animals could talk, I'm very influenced by movies, and based on Finding Nemo, I think that seagulls would have to be the most annoying.
I thought that one.
Boing, 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 boing.
But we're not near hilarious. Seagulls.
We're not, but I've seen them before. They're real.
I would like to hear seagulls say something that's not mine. Like, hey, Carl, look, there's french fries over here. You know?
Yeah. By the way, whichever writer or group of writers came up with that is brilliant because it's never been more like you're like, yeah, that is definitely
that is a seagull.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think birds in general could be a good one. Yeah. I don't know if you'd hear them super well either because they're small and they would be up in the sky.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if the sound would travel.
Ocean birds especially are annoying.
Imagine fish though. Imagine talking fish and you just put your head underwater.
Yeah. Again, I'm just You said that and I went straight to Finding Nemo, but
well, that's what brought me there.
Yeah, those fish are not annoying.
Like mice.
Although apparently Ellen's a bitch.
Who?
Ellen.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
story?
That. Didn't she?
That can't be breaking news.
I think she went to the UK forever.
Did she leave the country because everyone didn't like her? Is that what happened?
Wasn't she like connected to Diddy?
Really? Oh, damn.
I don't know.
This is the hot gossip segment.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, don't check my facts. Well, actually, check my facts because I don't keep up on that stuff. Yeah. I just remember tidbits of what I see scrolling, and I could be combining different things.
Someone listening to this, please weigh in on what's happening.
Let me Google. Why don't people like Ellen?
Diddy.
Why don't people like Ellen?
But I thought she was very good in Nemo and Dory.
Ellen. Is there two L's in Ellen?
Yes.
DeGeneres. Why don't people like Ellen DeGeneres anymore?
I think her staff all said that she was like abusive.
She had a toxic work environment.
Yeah. We shouldn't be talking about this.
You don't think this is super interesting?
If the only person I feel confident shit talking is myself and people who talk about their dreams.
Okay. But we're speculating about if someone got lost on the PCT, but we're not going to say that Ellen had a toxic work environment.
What the caveat there was, I didn't even make any statements to the person's character. I'm just saying that the statements themselves were being called as being accused of being inaccurate and not adding up. I'm not saying anything about the person themselves.
One last Google. Yes, Ellen and Diddy are good friends. They have been friends for many years and have been seen publicly together on numerous occasions. Diddy's friendship with Ellen is a significant topic. Diddy's good friend Ellen DeGeneres packed up and moved to the UK. So I think that might have instigated.
Sure.
Maybe that. Have you kept up with Diddy?
Personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still are trying to communicate this year's freak off and getting enough lube for said freak off. No, I don't know what the question is, but yeah, I don't
apparently Justin Bieber just like made a statement about it or something. The trial's going on.
Oh, is the trial actually happening?
I think so. And like Justin Bieber finally commented. That was all over my newsfeed.
What did he say?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Oh.
That's why I asked if you were keeping up.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, well, he broke a silence on something.
Yeah. The little bit that I know is from the couple comedy podcasts that I listen to, and they have thoughts on it. So that's why I know about freak-offs. And I've been invited several times. Yeah, sequels. Okay. Triple Crown of states you would draft in the next Civil War. We should rephrase it. This is like
seems dangerous.
This is like a theoretical civil war, not based on any like current political tensions. This is purely just like the game of Risk, but states and different tactical advantages. This one is spurred by just a conversation I had with my buddy while we were hiking the Tahoe Rim Trail. So I've already been through a round of this, and it is kind of a thought-provoking thing, but I want to be very upfront about the fact that I don't want a civil war. A civil war would be bad. Let's just call it like a paint gun war, like something where nobody dies.
Flag football.
Sure.
Okay. I wish I could say all my three at once.
Do you want to go first?
I'm going to go first.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Texas.
Okay.
Because that is the second most populous state and numbers matter. And I feel like they're all well practiced with guns.
By the way, very, very good reasoning. So you get the game. You understand the objective here.
And I think they're also like used to being outside in the heat. And I think that maybe in Civil War it wouldn't always be fun and games.
Yeah.
Or ever be fun and games. And I think that people would be spending a lot of time outside and not in like a hotel or a house. And so I think these ranchy Texans might be a hardened bunch.
I would say probably gun ownership and gun proficiency per capita. Texas it's got to be number one, right?
I don't know. I know very little.
Yeah. Again, this is just wild speculation, as is everything that happens on the podcast. But I feel pretty confident saying that Texas is a good choice, definitely. Thanks. On my short list. But the correct answer for the most important state to have in the Civil War paint gun state draft is the state of California.
That was on my list.
Most populous.
You only got like 8,000 more than Texas, though.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking this up. 38 million. And Texas has 31 million. And then there's some change in there.
8 million. I mean,
you could do a lot with 8 million.
8 million's a pretty significant.
Though I feel like there are more women and children in California than Texas.
Why?
I don't know. It just seems like there would be.
Yeah, it's an interesting hypothesis. I don't share the hypothesis, but could be right.
Do you think there's more women and children in Texas? If you don't share it, then you disagree.
Well, I think as a percentage of the population is probably about the same.
Texas or California?
Is that even like a stat that's kept?
Which U.S. state has the most females? South Carolina. Huh. Okay, that's going to take a while for me to look into.
Yeah.
Texas has the 8th most females, 52%. California, oh shit. California's only got 49%. Okay, well, it's all very even across the board. Anyway.
California, most populated state, having access to an ocean, so you can have both an army and a navy, I think is very good.
Yes.
I know there's this perception of how people are in like LA and San Francisco, but once you get a little bit further inland, I think we're talking about a similar cut of the jib to people in Texas. They also like their guns. You got a wide range of environments from desert to high mountain in terms of defending yourself. It would be very difficult for a different state to come in to invade. But yeah, I think just the number of people, I think, is a pretty huge advantage.
I feel like in this paintball game, I always picture it north versus south, as probably everyone does.
Yeah.
But imagine it was east versus west, and California was like the Canada.
Yeah.
Like that would be like the furthest.
If we're doing east-west, you have to go east just because population. Unless like you divided it, like you went with like the 50%.
I mean, I'm from the East Coast. I'm rooting for myself.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't talk about that too much because this could play into future draft picks.
Your next pick was?
My next pick is I'm going to go with wildcard, Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia is where the Pentagon is, so we're going to have a lot of military intelligence that we're inheriting with this. Virginia is only the 12th most populated state, so this is kind of a dark horse pick here. Don't have many people, but I feel like in terms of having military intelligence advantage, you want Virginia being so close to D.C.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have some good weapons.
Also, a lot of bases in Virginia. Virginia Beach is packed with them.
True, you could get some beach time. Some good wineries.
Yeah. When you're in the middle of a war, you need to unwind a little bit. Yeah, get some wineries.
Moderate temperature.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the comparatively, it's not as bad as the north.
Yep. This is a little bit of a stretch of a pick, but I'm going purely on the military intelligence. I think Virginia is a good pick.
Okay. My next one is Florida.
That was my...
And that's because I don't think I've mentally ever moved past the whole bath salts thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that you coexist with gators and just the wildlife that exists down there, I feel like they all have to be slightly insane. I'm sorry to anyone from Florida, but like this is my bias towards you all.
I feel like if you were going to put people, which states people would be most likely to be on the front line of a paintball?
I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say Florida would make the best front lines, but
it's paintball. It's paintball. It's cool.
I did kind of have that thought where like, because they'd be excited.
Yeah.
They'd be really excited about
sure.
it. They'd be in their trucks with their flags, like rallying.
Yeah, they're like the Vikings of statespeople.
Yeah.
Probably some new drug that's like circulating through Florida. I feel like Florida's getting a different wafting of drugs.
There's different water there or something.
Yeah.
And I mean this in the most complimentary way.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I talk about Florida, I don't mean it in that way, but I mean this part in the most...
Florida definitely is kind of a punching bag
complimentary
of a
way.
state, for sure.
I had a great time when I was there.
Yeah. And I think about Florida, people are cool with it. Like, I don't hear too much defensiveness about Florida. I think Florida's like, yeah, this is what we are.
Yeah.
Which makes them a great pick in the Civil War draft. And honestly, that was the one I was going back and forth with between Virginia. So
yeah, they just seem like they'd be really good at the missions.
Yeah. So far your thread has been
Texas and Florida.
The psychology of your statesmen
and
women.
Yes and no. It's the second and third most populous state.
Yep.
So now I've got around 55 million in my ranks. This one's hard. This one, my last one. I'm going to go with Maine. I need to check their population before I actually...
You're not going to like the...
Hold on.
And Maine is
I'm not locking that in yet.
number 43 with 1.4 million.
I'm not going with Maine. I think that was a misspeak. I'm gonna go with New York. No, it's between New York and Pennsylvania for me. New York because we're very stubborn.
Can't take two. You got to lock one in.
Okay, I'm going with Pennsylvania
Okay.
because of Philadelphia and the Eagles fans.
Okay.
I think that they would be really good at destruction and really excited about it.
They wouldn't even need paintball guns. They could probably just throw
Bare
batteries.
hand.
Yeah, they would just throw batteries at people.
They wouldn't hear the rules.
Yeah.
They would have misheard the paintball part and they would just be like Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
So I think the state of Pennsylvania, fifth most populous.
Yep.
So now I'm at close to 70 million.
We should put in contrast, Pennsylvania being the number 5 most populous state is 1/3 the population of California. California's
Yeah.
a big ass state.
Well, that's why one of us had to get California, one
Yep.
had to get Texas. It
Yep.
wouldn't have worked.
Yep.
But Pennsylvania, they've got Philly, and that's scary.
Yeah.
They also have all the rocks, so they're good on varied terrains. And they're also on Lake Erie, so despite not necessarily being Bills fans, they have that same grit and ability to stomach cold weather, whether or not they stomach it well.
Yeah.
And the roads are terrible, so if they can get through those, then they can travel anywhere.
Yeah.
And it might make it harder for people to find them.
Yeah. I can't believe you left me New York. That I think New York was potentially on my list for first overall
Yeah.
pick. But yeah.
I would put upstate New York. I don't know if New York City could handle it.
I think they could handle it. I know.
I think a lot of them just like wouldn't want to.
If they felt emboldened by our paintball cause, I think that they would be the most willing. It's like a very type A, like fuck you attitude.
Yeah, but they'd be most willing until they realize that like you have to be dirty and sleep outside, and then they'd be like, oh, where's my high rise? Where's the nearest bodega?
Yeah.
You know, I'm used to having 5 different food options within eyesight at all times. What do you mean I've got to eat grits again?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like they're a little.
Sean's the
New
York resident.
Look at me. Do you think I would do well? I'm not doing well there.
Well, I mean, as the general, I think you don't necessarily need to be on the front lines. You're doing the strategical work now.
I think the people from upstate New York that deal with the lake effect snow and the very short like summer seasons could do well. But I don't know about Long Island.
Yeah. I agree with your kind of stereotype of maybe folks in Manhattan, but and maybe that's New York City a million times better than I do, but I just feel like their kind of type A fuck you attitude would.
Yeah, but they're also the type of people that would be like, let us know how it goes. We'll be here on Manhattan.
No, we get them in on the cause when it comes to an all-out paintball battle.
Maybe, but here's the thing: is between them and Philly. That's why I went with Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Is because Philly is way more likely.
Yeah, but we got 6 million more people. That's 2 Chicagos.
Yeah. But that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Also, great ports.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. And you're right. The upstate New York people that are proficient in the Adirondacks, those are some hardened folk.
That was where I was thinking with Maine.
Yeah. Sure.
And then I just forgot that not many people live there.
Yeah.
But like they have moose.
But yeah, some like guerrilla paintball warfare up in the 80Ks definitely have the higher ground.
Yeah, I think if you can make New England one state, I would pick New England.
Be very, very scary. That's a type A. Yeah.
Yeah.
They march at a faster pace.
Yeah, and I think they would rally New York
Yeah.
for all the beef they've had.
Yeah. Yeah. To your point, I'm trying to think of like the scariest fan bases, and like Boston's up there. Philadelphia is obviously notorious. The Midwest, they're too nice. Like even in Chicago, there's just a lot of people there, and I think that's probably the most asshole-ish part of the Midwest. That doesn't hold a candle to like Pennsylvania or Boston or some of these other cities. So yeah.
And I think that they would. No, I'm not going to say that thought out loud. I'll say that thought when we stop recording.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let us know who won this paintball Civil War based on the reasons outlined. But
Extra emphasis on this not being anything to do with the current state of affairs of the world.
no. Also, geographically, let's see. You got Texas,
Florida,
and
Pennsylvania.
I have New York,
California,
and Virginia. Wild card.
Yeah, I think I'm winning. Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania versus California, New York, Virginia. I think I got this.
California is easily the 1 seed, and I've got all of the futuristic paintball machines that could inflict serious.
Yeah, but you don't know what they're making by themselves in Florida.
Just a bunch of Molotov cocktails full of paint.
Okay, if you have an opinion on if you think that Zach's team would win with California, New York, and Virginia, or if you think my team would win with Texas, Florida, and Pennsylvania, podcast@thetrek.co, or put it in a 5-star review.
Or Instagram comment on this episode.
Yeah.
One of the above. Any of the above is good.
Oh, that was a good one.
Cool. We made it through. We were going to do that at the live show in Texas, and in hindsight, I'm glad we didn't.
I could have rallied them. Are you kidding?
Oh, if we were doing it in Austin, I would have definitely picked Texas first. So, yeah. Yeah, okay. Mailbag.
I love the show. I recently listened to the Viking Q&A episode. While discussing first aid kits, I wanted to caution against using belts and other makeshift materials for a tourniquet. We need to ensure the material is a proper width or it will not cease arterial blood flow. Furthermore, could cause nerve damage, etc. Keep up the great work and content. Matthew. Thanks, Matthew.
Always good to get a qualified input on stuff.
People are putting big words in these mailbags these days.
Yeah.
5-star review.
Arterial blood flow. 5-star review. This one is from Hike with Dogs 78. Addicted. I discovered this podcast while researching a backpacking trip to summit Mount Whitney with a section hike of JMT, and I've been addicted ever since. I listen to every new episode as it comes out, and I've been chipping away at the old episodes in between. Although the focus is on thru-hiking, Zach and Sean's host a huge variety of guests, and everyone has such a fascinating story to tell. They are also totally hilarious. If you have any interest in outdoors, day hiking, backpacking, and of course thru-hiking, you will love this podcast. Hike with Dog 78, we love you.
Thanks. Ooh, I just got the chills.
That was very nice.
It's like a shimmy. Can you shimmy? Yeah, me neither.
I think of the Shaq gif.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Alex Kindle, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Stenberg, Brian Alsop,
Fables,
Carl Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marion Outdoors, Eric Casper,
Friendly Ghost,
Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Julian Daniels, Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel, Griffin Hey, Would You Bring Me a Beer, Haley Buckingham,
Palace,
Lauren F.,
You,
Patrick Ciancialo, Rebecca Brave, Sawyer Product Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo,
and Tracy Trigger.
Tons.
Thanks to our guy Paulie at Old Man Riff's Coffee Roasters. Go get yourself some delicious beans at ommcr.com. Follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok at Backpacker Radio, at Backpacker Pod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Chance.
You can find me on YouTube at Juliana Chauncey, on Instagram at Juliana_Chauncey, and you can get my book, Hiking from Home, a long-distance hiking guide for family and friends, on Amazon.
Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books, and we'd both be very grateful for a review on Amazon.
Yes, please.
Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can now rate podcasts on Spotify.
Ooh, flood them.
Yeah.
With 5 stars.
I don't know if there's reviews, but there's certainly ratings. So, yeah,
Please,
if you're
if you
listening
have
on
it.
Spotify or not, give us a rating, review, whatever's happening.
Yeah, we like that.
Follow us on YouTube.
Hi, Internet.
Sup, YouTube. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye.